and we should be going live. Presumably. Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Loreley hosting the lore of Leyus, the Starburst campaign. It's been a while, hasn't it? Oh, I should introduce the other people in call, huh? So, there's the usual guest, which is, CyberneticPinkeye. Go ahead and introduce yourself, or say hello, or acknowledge your existence.
I know what I said.
You didn't say anything.
Oh, did it not come through?
It did not come through.
I just did the
It did not come through.
Interpret that as you will. Surskit or Peanut Butter Baby reference. Use your imagination.
And also, we have SerenaMidori here.
Lowercase screams.
She's better at this than you are.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In honor of our fallen comrade.
Indeed, I was about to
She
get
will be
around.
missed.
So you may notice that we are presently down one player today. Unfortunately, as it turns out, RedAsATomato, Jane, is on an adventure of her own today, so she will not be able to join us, at least not for a while into today's session. There's going to be something that Ariadne, her character, is going to be up to in this time, which I will be happy to explain once everything gets going, but just a heads up on that if it sounds like we're a little bit quieter than usual, it's because the quietest person in the call is out having her own day.
Rip.
It's
No,
still
she's
hear
not.
her now.
She's not dying yet.
Stop
that you
telling
know
people
of.
I'm dead.
Jane
No,
in the distance. Stop telling people I'm dead!
Well, see, here's the thing. Jane got so tired of waiting to be killed in-game that she went off to do it herself.
There you
Wow.
That
So
came out
anyway-
darker than I intended it.
So anyway, at least we're past the first minute of the stream.
go. We did it, everyone.
Yeah. Stuck my dick, TOS.
Well, don't do that. I am trying to get this channel monetized, and here you are sabotaging that. So you may
keeping
notice.
here is gonna make sure that doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, you may also notice on screen, it's a little bit small at the moment, but I can, let's see if I can make that bigger. No! That's what I want to move.
Meow.
Zelda is making noise. So, this campaign has been getting artwork. Some of it has been done by players in the campaign, but we've also had some fan art, namely by Queen Creeps, and I'll let you know when it comes up. There it is! Fan art of Koshi. And then art by Jane, who I consider it technically kind of fan art. I love how it just keeps flashing between Koshi.
Listen.
Koshi and Koshi.
There is, there's Lyronus, as seen in a vision that came to Ariadne while being lured in the direction of Vermouth. And then, of
Lord.
course, her very hyper-realistic sketch of Haelum as well in the mix here.
It's
But yeah.
Ariadne really went, I imagine ships so much it feels more like a memory.
And she even went so far as to actually write stuff down in Elven language for this, so
yeah.
that's dedication. That
I
is
was gonna
attention to
say.
detail.
Imagine being an artist. Couldn't be me.
I mean,
Your
for me, it really
art
couldn't be.
is presently on screen, Gab. You've literally made the artwork officially of the party at this point.
You are the canon character designer.
I know that is incorrect, but
You currently have set the tone. So I wanted to point out the little fan art reel here. Anyone who might want to actually contribute any fan art to this campaign, or, I mean, I would say the channel in general, but I think especially for these streams for Starburst or the lore of Leyus in general, I will be happy to add that into the reel here. You can usually submit it if you know me on Discord or anything like that. You can either post it if you're in my personal Discord server, or if you just happen to share a server with me or anything, you can message it to me and I will be happy to add it into the reel. If you follow over on Twitter and you want to DM fan art over there, you can usually, I believe, you should be able to do that there. If not, you can also check out my regular Twitter, and this being Loreley, of course, and message there. Either way, I would love to showcase your work. I know that there are some incredibly talented and very creative people in the audience, and so I want to see your fan art because I am very happy seeing fan art of this campaign.
I too would like to see fan art because I have no fandom from which to get it.
That is not true.
Listen.
Sounds like you're a little fandom to me. Oh god.
I held back on making that joke.
That reminds me. So today we made a quick stop by Walgreens, and as we were getting back into the car, someone was walking past. Now, the teller inside had mentioned to us, "Oh, be careful, you know, watch out for the crazies out there." And we were like, "Haha." As soon as we get out, we're getting back to the car. All of a sudden, this guy comes walking past, and he goes, "Walgreens, more like Fullgreens." And I was just like,
more like Fall Guys, am I right, gamers?
oh my god. Anyway, so it's just one of those moments where it was just one of those cognitive moments of like, okay.
Is that one of the craziest he was talking about?
Like, it was like so perfectly cued, right?
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I just having that direct encounter right afterwards. I was even just saying, you know, oh, I came from places where the crazies are just out in the open. Now, I say this, by the way, not to be derogatory towards anyone with mental illness. I say this in the sense of people who are letting their instability, unfortunately, impact their ability to interact with other people, and sometimes in unfortunately, but still fortunately, amusing ways.
Yeah, and I'll even add to that, there are people who suffer from mental illness, and then there are crazies. And to specify that even further, you saw a lot of fucking examples of that in January at the Capitol.
Well, and I think there's a difference between someone dealing with mental illness and, say, someone who has decided to dig into their rage and just embrace being a horrible person on display.
Yep.
Someone who has decided that they are entitled to be awful and loud and, well, crazy in public. Not in terms of not being able to control it, but choosing not to. So, today we're actually here for entertainment. And hello, Ragnar. Good to see you. It's always good to have you drop on by.
Hello.
We'll probably be getting started with the actual gameplay soon. Soon. Presumably, that's kind of what people came here for.
I guess.
Soon, my pets. Soon I will feed you the world.
Stop.
Stop with your bass. All your bass up in my face.
So you're saying I should drop the bass?
No.
God, I hate both of you.
What? Hey! He's the one who's doing it.
And you encourage it.
It felt like there was a joke that you set each other up for. That's why I was like, I hate both of you.
That's just our interactions in general.
Right?
I know.
Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've told this story before, but even just, like, standing around doing our own thing and just, like, snarking each other will result in people going, you guys are funny.
Uh-huh. We've told the story about
so cute.
God.
And of
No,
course,
that was
there's...
another person who asked us how long we'd been married.
Mm-hmm. We were checking out at a grocery... This was a couple of years ago, though.
Yeah.
But we were still checking out at a Safeway, no less. This is not paid advertisement. This just happened to be where we were shopping at the time.
Not sponsored.
And
I do all my shopping at Safeway.
the cashier was asking, so, how long have you two been married? And we just kind of looked at each other. It was just kind of like, we do give off that vibe, huh?
God.
We managed...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna make note of, like, on the one hand, yes, you two would give off that vibe to where people, I don't even doubt that they would make that, like, you know, assumption. But also, why do people say things like this? Why would they?
How long have you been
Because people can't
pregnant?
mind their damn business,
Any-
that's why.
Any two strangers would be like, so how long have you been married? Like, what?
How-
When was the first assumption made?
Wait,
Hello?
yes, I see you noticed we were surgically attached by the hip.
Even better when the people who are like, "Oh, how long have you been pregnant?"
God.
It's one of those things where I don't anticipate myself ever becoming pregnant at any point. However, if I ever did, and someone asked that question of me, I would literally say in the moment, "I'm not pregnant."
Just to make them feel awkward, because it's an awkward question to ask. You don't know me.
And some
Go
people
away.
do, in fact, have that kind of tummy shape, just regardless of whether or not they have a baby in there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So don't ask those kinds of invasive questions unless you happen to know the person. That is a life lesson to take away from the lore of Leyus on this
All right.
blessed Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, obviously, it has been over a month. I've literally, the last date was sometime in fucking May.
A lot of shit's gone down.
The entire month of June is just, it's been gone. There's been a lot of things going on, including me moving across multiple states to move in with CyberneticPinkeye / Griffin. And I thought you were gonna go with anyway, we've been living together for the last month, just about.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful arrangement. Obviously, things are going fine. We're all here. He just happens to be in his room right now, as opposed to out where I am.
Yes.
But that move ended up taking a huge amount of my ability to both focus as well as work on anything related to this campaign. So I had to take a few weeks to get not only packed and ready, and then actually moving out here, I had to take some time on getting out here, recovering from that, which it was not helped by the fact that I managed to fall on my way up here and smack my knee dang hard into the pavement, which has made recovery from moving that much harder.
I'm so sorry.
It was not a fun time. That said, I am doing better now, thankfully, but that's one of the reasons why it has been this long since you last saw from the Starburst campaign. Thankfully, I usually include some sort of summary, get people up to date. I'm actually
Speaking of,
reviewing over my notes, and yes, it is about time. It is about
It's
time.
about time.
It's about time! Like, oh my god!
Swear to God.
listen to my tale, children. It's about time.
Cool. Alright. So, since it is actually, in fact, about time, and hello to everyone as you're making your way in. There's been some time. Can you not tear apart the furniture, Sir Pounce?
I do what I
Thanks.
want.
I didn't ask you. But anyway, so, yeah, where was my train of thought just now?
Starting the game.
Summary.
Starting the game, yes, a summary and all of that stuff. Why the fuck does anyone care about... Anyway, let's,
You know.
Why are you...
Question.
Why
Next
are you
question.
here?
What do you even do?
So I'm gonna leave the fan art reel going for a little bit. I probably will turn it off at some point, at least for now, because you guys have already seen the relatively short art reel as has been put together. But yes, so getting all things started. By the way, those of you actually in call and playing this game with me today, try to make sure that you've got your audio enabled for today.
Oh.
In Roll20, you mean?
In Roll20, yes. No, in the
not
Discord
even-
call.
I would not even know how to begin to make that a reality.
Up at the top
I
of the
mean,
screen?
I guess-
Sorry,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
No, you.
To guide Griffin through the process, at the very top of the screen, you will see what looks like a series of lines and then a musical note.
Okay, that I
That'll
see.
show you the jukebox itself. But if you
Yep.
go to the cog, You can actually scroll down to Master Music Volume Level. That should, I believe, or you may not have Master Music, but you may be able to adjust your own personal music level or audio level.
Also, make sure you haven't muted the site itself.
I see nothing to do with music specifically.
Well, let me see if I can even cue something to see if that even pops
Yeah,
up
I
for
was
you
gonna
guys.
say that might be the best way for us to know.
Let's see.
Yeah, all I see is like all audio input sources are at 0.
Okay.
Right.
I hear something.
And do you, Griffin?
I hear nada. Wait. Oh, actually, yeah, I hear something.
Cool.
I hear some fantasy shenanigans.
I might as well even just leave this running for
Ambiance.
for ambiance while I read the summary from where we were last.
This might be a good idea. Audience, can you hear us okay level-wise along with the music?
That is a good thing to double check too. Also, I should probably actually mute the official streaming tab for this, because that's gonna compound things.
Oh, yes.
And I also need to do something. I just realized I need to pop out the chat so I can actually watch what you guys are saying.
Might be a good idea.
Okay, alright, cool. You do hear it? Cool. Alright, cool. So, what are you snickering about?
Nothing.
What are you snickering about?
Nothing.
No, I think it's
something.
no, it's nothing.
Okay. So, this has a bit of a summary, last we left off. Following the fight with the twig blights. I set myself up for that by putting that sentence that way. Anyway, and the awakened tree, you learned that the guards weren't aware of how they ended up near the river here, only that it seemed like that was what they were supposed to do. Koshi chased after the eyes they spotted in the forest, but lost track. They did, however, have a strange spectral encounter that lit their way back to the town. After a brief moment with Lyronus forcefully shutting down conversations about his past trauma, the others trailed after Koshi and discovered an amulet of strange make. They met up with Koshi only to find several zombies already shuffling their way towards Vermouth, though they seemed much more decomposed than usual, filled with a strange fungus, one that matches the fungus in the amulet the others found. Getting back into town, you saw Hilde having some sort of discussion with the increasingly sketchy Danforth Thanasi. On our to-do list for today, find out what Hilde and Danforth are talking about, meet with Davies at the Thanasi estate, prepare for zombie attack, party? Party, baby?
Profit.
I mean, I wouldn't assume so, but you know.
I mean, you never know. Maybe if you hit those zombies hard enough, maybe some candy will come out.
I mean, you never know. But there is... I'm also making minor adjustments on my desktop here. There is a party being planned. Whether or not it's when you want to attend is an entirely different matter. I will also note, you guys, well, you can probably actually maybe see on screen. Well, you guys can't in the audience. But let's move you guys officially to the starting screen here.
Woohoo!
Woo! Here we are. I will also add that because unfortunately Jane is not here, party and boo, says Ragnar. Did that actually come up? Well, I do love this music too. I found some really cool stuff and I added it into a playlist just to include for today. This is not going to be the one playing through all of this though.
Okay.
But so Jade will not be joining us, and I will give the explanation for what Ariadne has been up to this entire time. Can you let me stop? No, I guess you can't, because you're dumb. Okay. Temporarily putting a halt on that, because now I'm getting distracted.
Just love the idea of you, like looking to the orchestra. Could you not? And they're just like...
Did you need to knock that over? Was that a
Yes.
requirement, sir? That is not yours to play with, sir!
It's my apartment.
Bitch, do I have to kill you?
This is a good game.
We're off to a rollicking good start.
You don't need to knock things over.
For reference for the audience, Laura has up to 3 cats who very
Up
much
to.
enjoy these types of things.
Up to 3 cats. It could be
Yes.
3. Maybe it's 2.
Yes.
Anyway,
Schrodinger's number of cats.
I'm wearing my headset with high volume, and yet I can distinctly hear shouts and screams outside my window about the European football finale. I hope they don't get started with fireworks too. Oh, that is a mood. So, going to give a little bit of a summary of what's going on. Obviously, we last left off with you guys coming back and getting noticed, or no, noticing, in fact,
Yes.
these two having a conversation, as well as the 2 guards having made their way back safely to town. When you guys are making your way in, just about where you guys are, Sally, the herbalist that you've returned the flowers to, as well as making some purchases from the ancient stream where she and her husband work, ends up actually coming outside and explicitly pulling Ariadne aside to talk with her for a moment.
Okay.
They do speak for a little bit before, Ariadne apologizes and says that she's going to be helping Sally with something, and that she will be back as soon as possible. Or, sorry, to put it another way, as soon as possible.
I mean,
I know the feeling of living with 3 cats. Hey, what a coincidence! Anyway.
But yeah, in terms of Ariadne needing to go and help, then Haelum basically in response would be saying like, "Oh yeah, no, we got it. We got this."
So,
Koshi is unsure how they feel about this sudden departure, but they're rolling with it as they're not unfamiliar with people like within their circle just suddenly disappearing, after just basically with unannounced, essentially. So they're
Yeah.
gonna just see where things roll from here.
I think it's one of those Lyronus kind of would have sort of cheerfully, but also kind of uncertainly, given the circumstances, kind of waving Ariadne and Sally off and being probably quietly muttering to the others I do hope she's going to be okay.
Koshi internally, why does everything I con leave me?
You know,
Sir Pounce, sweetheart, please. I don't need you rolling dice for me. I can do that myself.
can you though?
I can, as a matter of fact. So, with that all said and done, I'm just making sure everything looks good on the screen. Cool. All right. The people of Vermouth, I'm good at talking today. I'm going to actually also play the music because fuck me anyway. The people of Vermouth swirl through the streets in wary preparation of the party being thrown in your honor, and you can hear whispers of worry as they pass around you. If they see you, they spare a smile, a nod, a word of thank you, but the mood is considerably more tense than a celebration normally is preceded by. Hilde notices you and warmly waves you over. Danforth himself turns to face what Hilde is waving to, and within moments, a smile from him joins the warm welcome. Feel free to roll insight if you like.
Absolutely.
Lyronus, already you're dumb! Already Lyronus!
That's just a constant though.
He is...
I love him, but he's a himbo. You said insight, right?
Insight, yes.
Boop.
Koshi is distracted by all the
Wow.
things.
Oh my god, none of you! None of you! Not you, not Koshi, not Lyronus, none of
Nope.
you!
Jane, why did you have to leave us?
No! Oh
Shrug.
god. Oh no, okay. As far as you can tell, he is just happy to see that you've made it back to town safely.
If it helps, I already don't like him, so I don't
Yeah.
have to roll to not trust him.
Neither does Koshi.
Roll to not trust.
I like him in this moment only.
Roll for sus.
Yeah, a little sussy.
I mean,
So,
you're a little sussy, aren't you?
do you make your way over?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Okay.
Koshi waddles behind.
Okay. I'm
Cute.
just moving Lyronus over. I don't know if anyone else wants to actually move themselves.
No.
Koshi by the water, of course.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I couldn't click on it for a second.
Koshi will bite the bullet and take the bridge this time.
I'm so
Aw.
proud of him.
He's evolving, or they're evolving. Anyway,
Someone press B.
Hilde beams at you. Welcome back. My man told me what happened. I'm sorry that this whole thing put y'all in so much trouble. I feel bad for sending you to it. Still, you did it, and I can't thank you enough. She gestures to the nearby racks in the barracks stall. So, in this area over here, just about. I promised you your pick of some of my crafts, and I'll make good on my word. You can choose one. You can each choose one thing here. And I will also have probably Jane at some point go through and pick something for Ariadne if she so desires.
Yep.
Did you guys want to actually check that now, or did you want to be part of the conversation, or what did you guys want to do? I will say, you're not going to miss the conversation if you decide to check things now.
You can probably guess where Koshi's priorities lie.
I would say the only thing that Haelum would say is, like, in response to that would be like, oh, you know, it was no trouble at all, and I mean, we want to help. Like, that's the kind of air she's giving off, but I would also want to check out what's available, too. So it's kind of like a quick, yeah, don't worry about it, and then let me get my thing.
Oh, yes. So, the guards, by the way, they happily also greet you on return. Lyronus, again, is smiling to them. I will say that you will notice he is still on the pale side from your encounter just before.
Yep.
And some of the subject matter that has been going on, and for those of you who have not been here in previous weeks, or especially this last one, Lyronus has displayed signs of some sort of PTSD response, especially to him taking any kind of active role in a battle.
Yep.
It got
I will say
particularly
Haelum-
bad.
Haelum, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that, note that Haelum has noticed that, and she will not be bringing it up to him.
That's also fair. I think,
Especially after the conversations from before.
yeah, there's
Koshi
a good chance. Sorry.
Koshi is just used to being around sickly people, so they're not really perturbed by it.
True. And I will say, there is a good chance that he will eventually talk about it. I mean, you cannot get Lyronus to shut the fuck up, so you're probably going to hear about it at some point. This is just one of those, he's known you a day, and he already loves you, but, like, you know, it's going to take some time. So, which do you look at? Weapons rack, armor rack, both?
Probably, well, this is the thing.
I think Koshi's gonna look at the weapons.
I might look at armor.
Okay, and I'm actually going to pull up one of my own reference sheets that I forgot to do before getting started today. I am a professional. You should give me money. If you do so, if you go to Patreon and you become even just a $1 patron, you will actually be able to vote and put things into this campaign, having some kind of impact on events or story elements or obstacles or gifts. Anyway, so you went to go look at armor, Haelum, and which did Koshi go to look at? Weapons?
The weapons, yes.
Okay. Lyronus is also going to be kind of, like, perusing. I think he might even be briefly chatting with the guards, just, like, relieved to see that they're okay. So, on the weapons rack, you can see a crossbow with the Lyra symbol actually etched into it. You find a metal-tipped whip, a longsword with the Lyra symbol on the hilt. There is a quarterstaff, and a rapier with gold marbled through the hilt. So I'm just kind of reading the note here just to be sure. So, do you inspect any of them any more closely, or...
I mean, I'll say this, like, the one with the gold engraved in it catches Koshi's attention, though they are also admittedly intrigued by a couple of the items there, namely the quarterstaff and the crossbow.
Okay. Well, the quarterstaff, even just on closer inspection, the head of the staff has a space for some kind of decoration, but it bears none. There are some elven runes engraved around the shaft. Meanwhile, on the armor rack, just to give her a chance to react.
Of course, I apologize.
No worries. No, I'm good.
You can find a hide chest plate with wolf fur over the shoulders, leather gloves and bracers with metal attached. So it's actually, they're a combined item, so it's effectively like, long gloves or something, but they're bracers attached to gloves.
Ooh, okay.
So, there are steel-tipped boots and a helmet with some blue highlights.
Now, when it comes to the boots and bracers, what kind of armor do those count as? Light
I
or
don't know
medium?
off the top of my head.
Okay.
What was the question?
Are they light armor or medium armor?
They would count as light in this particular instance. Because
Both
they're
of them?
only steel-tipped boots.
Yeah,
they're
okay.
not super heavy or anything. They just have, literally the toes on them have the steel on them.
Okay, that's what I wanted to double check on. Okay.
The helmet is also metal, but it has, it's got blue highlights on it. It's got, I can't say, blue steel per se, but it's hard to discern exactly what this particular metal is outside of it is a blue metal that is fastened in with the helmet, but it's still very light. You're not going to have any encumbrance with this.
Gotcha.
So, I will say, since you mentioned being particularly interested in the quarterstaff, Koshi,
The quarterstaff and the crossbow.
okay. Well, you can only pick one.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Let's see. Koshi, roll Arcana for me.
Okay. Ooh.
Dang. So, as you're looking at this quarterstaff, with the head of the staff that has a space and no kind of decoration, but it looks like it should have some kind of decoration, that, in conjunction with the elven runes that are engraved on it, you can in fact tell that there is something magical about this.
Interesting.
The wood does appear to be locally sourced, too, I'll say this much. It appears to have come directly from the forest around the outskirts of Vermouth.
Interessante. Let's see here. So would I be able to roll... Because I'm trying to think of the approach here. What would I roll to see if I potentially recognize these specific elven markings?
That would be... Well, that's just thing, it's a language thing.
Ah, fair.
So, either you know the language or you don't.
That's true, and Koshi does not know elven.
You do know an elf, though.
I was gonna say...
That's true. In that case, I think Koshi will pick up the quarterstaff and hold it up towards Haelum inquisitively, pointing at the markings.
She would have been pretty, mesmerized by both the gloves and boots. She's, really, hard thinking about what she would take. After, a moment of you holding it up, she'll, finally notice. And, oh, you want me to read this?
Koshi nods.
So, what do the runes say in Elven? Or is it just kind of, random words?
I wouldn't even know the specific words in Elven, so to speak. But basically, you get kind of an inscription implying something about the power of flowers.
And she'll relay that to Koshi then.
That basically, that it implies that if you read the words, or say these words out loud, then you will experience the true power of flowers.
Interesting.
Oh, so essentially it's saying there's a word to, like, activate, or, you know, when it comes to magic items, there's, like, usually a word component.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically what the engravings indicate. Like, it wouldn't be, like, instructions. It would be literally, like, you've seen this on other elven magical items before, so it's literally, they have this inscribed here, so you know what to say.
Yeah. Perfect, okay. Then she'll relay that.
Interesting. So, like, especially with Koshi having recently, you know, gotten the herbalism kit, you know, collecting more fresh ingredients for possibly more legit potions, I think that's right up their alley. Plus, they just, in general, can't help but find the elven markings alluring. So, I think Koshi's gonna go with the quarterstaff.
Cool. Do they mention this, or do they pick it up at all?
Koshi, again, after looking over the staff, hearing Haelum's explanation, nodding in understanding, looks over to the guard lady, sort of attempts to twirl it around, and goes, "We'll take it."
She beams widely at you as you, especially with the spinning of it and everything, and that's a good choice. I actually don't know much about what's written on there, but I did actually put together the wood itself. Or basically, she describes that she carved it herself, and she's actually put like some of the smaller details on there. But it kind of already came with that engraving on it.
In response to that, Koshi will look down at the staff, sort of like caress it with her hands, and go, "You can learn a lot from the flowers."
Jesus. Danforth is watching with interest. Haelum.
Oh, I kind of want to go with the gloves and bracers. I don't think she's going to be wearing shoes anytime soon.
It would be funny, but I still love the idea that it's like, she comes in here, with gorgeous dress and all of that, and no shoes, and, like, in general, people go with, like, shoes as the default covering. And she's like, no, I'm going to cover my arms. But bare feet on stone, and I'm an elf, what do you expect?
What, you want me to, like, not be as dainty as I am all the time? Shoes are just going to get in the way. Gloves, on the other hand,
they get in the way of people attacking me.
Exactly.
So, alright. You get a pair of leather gloves with the bracers that have, like, the metal is up on, like, where the forearms would be. Like, the hands themselves are actually very light in terms of overall, glove wear. But the way that the metal is actually attached to the bracers is that it's especially designed for deflecting some kind of attack. So, like, you could go Wonder Woman and, like, literally use the bracers to deflect shit. Like, it's meant to make that a lot easier if someone does come at you.
Gotcha.
So, Lyronus is kind of just looking over everything, and as he's looking over things, Danforth, his smile broadens. Hilde here was just talking about possibly hosting our festivities indoors tonight. I find the idea preposterous. How can we celebrate in tight quarters?
In response to that, Koshi will say under their breath, "Not with that attitude."
Well, is there some reason why she offered this idea?
Danforth's smile does not seem to shift, and Hilde actually jumps in at this point to say, well, it's the same reason I told y'all before, as, she gestures to the town. The imminent potential threat of those creatures coming into town? And Danforth looks at her with a raised eyebrow.
Yeah, and Haelum to this is, like, smiling and nodding. I see. So what's the word I'm thinking of? Appropriate response.
appropriate response to the hey, there's an imminent threat to the townspeople. Why are we having a
Yeah,
party
she's
outside?
saying- Yeah, she's saying like, oh, here's a good reason as to why we should do that, and how it's not actually preposterous. She's making a point to Jen.
Yeah, Danforth kind of like he chuckles and is like, "Oh, I trust our guards, our guardsmen to watch out for us. I mean, they have been trained by the best." And he claps Hilda on the shoulders, who she's smiling, but it's a very wary smile.
Wondering if I should say something.
What,
are the guards not allowed to come to our party?
Ooh, okay. Roll persuasion on that.
You tell me to roll persuasion on that.
Okay.
Oh!
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. Again, by default, you have 17. Although I did set a particular DC for this, and a 17 wouldn't have cut it.
I see.
But,
yeah.
Let's see. Well, I suppose you have a point. They do deserve a break, after all. Very well. I suppose we could make arrangements at the inn. But I must insist that the main ceremony acknowledging your deeds be held in the main square. There's simply not enough room for the fire dancing in the inn.
Fire dancing?
Oh, yes, it's part of our celebration. We show our mastery over the fire itself, and then, Hilda even jumps in to continue describing the actual dance itself and how it's a tradition from some of their founders way back in the day. Something that they took from, where they had come from.
Gotcha.
So it was one of those things that was actually, and I think she even kind of goes into long conversation during which Danforth's expression kind of, there's a smile, but it kind of slowly diminishes. It's not gone, but it's like the kind of smile. But saying that it was, in fact, the fire dancing that ended up calling Lyra and her attention to their people as they were still, looking for a place to settle down before they actually even founded Vermouth as a whole. So the fire dancing, because it was so bright and energetic and eye-catching and so full of joy, ended up being what brought Lyra especially into their lives.
Oh, I see. How fascinating.
Lyronus, listening in on this, also nods happily in response to that, I must admit, I really wish to see this. Danforth kind of smiles broadly at this. Yes, of course. That is something that will happen and must happen. I will insist upon it. So, and then at this there's a bit of a pause. Danforth inquires after what happened after you parted ways with Samuel and Maxwell. They weren't sure, but you all seemed to have some other serious situation of your own to handle. They kind of nod and kind of are awkwardly now kind of quiet now that it's, fucking Danforth speaking on it.
Yep.
In response to this, Koshi goes, nothing we can't handle.
They're moving out of the way. They don't want to be in between these guys. So
I
what
will
was
say,
it you
because
guys...
it's been a while, so I'm also just trying to remember the exact details. A summary is one thing, but
Yeah. So, even specifically, they had left town, and as far as either Hilda or Danforth really knew, you guys might have had other business out of town. I mean, Hilda would have, if she mentioned anything, this was only, what she knew. You guys were heading out of town, and were likely going to be possibly out and about where the guards were after she asked you to locate them. And you were able to locate them after meeting with the bandits and their leader. After which, after a brief conversation with the guards establishing that they don't know how they ended up there, just that something seemed to kind of compel them here to the riverside, and that when they had defeated the twig blights and, the tree and all of that that compulsion to stay there and that paralyzing fear that they were gripped by kind of all vanished in an instant. But then, Koshi, seeing the eyes in the forest, ran after them when they vanished, got lost in the forest, and got pointed back. And the rest of the team ended up recruiting the tree branch, which is still curled around Haelum's arm, I think.
Got my bonsai.
I forgot about the tree branch.
I almost did. It was on my notes.
And among other things, you encountered the zombies just outside of town.
That's right.
So there was that just upon getting in. So, but all that the guards knew was that you guys had something else that you needed to do before actually heading back, and given that part of that was Koshi rushing off into the forest, I've also forgot about the snaky tree branch.
Our new mascot.
I was gonna say, it's this campaign's Prin.
Yep.
But bigger, technically.
Yeah, and Jane can do nothing to stop me from making that claim.
I mean, I can.
Yeah.
Whose character is this?
I was gonna say.
That is the question at this point, isn't it?
So, on the questioning of, you know, what happened to you after you parted ways with the guards, and you mentioned
after we rescued them?
Yeah, after you rescued them, and they ended up heading back into town ahead of you.
See, that's the problem. It's like, I know you've explained it, but basically what happened to us was we went after Koshi, right? That's it. And then we found the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I think in response to that, as a means of trying to convey, you know, oh, our work is never done, we just keep doing our thing, Koshi will go, do worker bees stop to smell the roses?
And Danforth kind of regards that for a moment before nodding and smiling. I see. So you do have a lot of work on your plate. Well, that makes sense for those that we consider to be heroes of Vermouth. Clearly your work is never done. Sorry to, like, echo what you were saying on the meta level, but yes. I see. So, nothing caught your attention?
Well, not to say nothing. Just that we were incredibly... Well, not incredibly busy, like, just that we want to make sure that the outsides of the city are actually safe. That is to say, we did happen to see something, which makes us feel as though it isn't.
Oh? And, like, actually, this is a simultaneous moment for both Danforth and Hilde, where they kind of, like, perk up at that, and Danforth straight up asking, oh? And Hilde looking at you with not a startled, but a very serious expression, like... Yeah. Are you about to confirm her fears, kind of thing?
And I think that most of that, the Haelum's just gonna be looking at Hilde. She's not really looking at Danforth. It's like she's trying to give her a look of like, yeah. And I think what they'll do is describe what they ended up seeing with those zombies as they made their way back.
All of the details, including the mold?
I don't see a reason not to. What about you, Griffin?
I think, just to sum it up, Koshi's gonna go, and I know this is gonna be an obvious reference, but grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom.
I kind of meant on a meta level, do you think we should tell them?
Oh, I mean...
I'm asking you as my player mate here.
Yeah, as the undead are an actual threat, an ongoing threat, I see no reason not to tell them.
Okay. Then yeah, she'll explain everything they saw with the mold. Because again, I'm trying to remember specifics, so I'm just saying like this is what I hope helps.
Yeah, I mean, I know the thing we aren't going to tell them are our business dealings with the bandits, but apart from that,
well, yeah.
So Hilde, at the report of the black mold being present in the zombies, definitely takes an interest in that. Kind of like, well. Now, hold on a second. What do you mean by mold? And basically kind of, like, asking for, like, further details. I imagine there's, like, you know, the decomposed flesh, etc. was more decomposed, like an exchange of that.
Yeah, we'll give a better, like, description of what they look like and all that.
Yeah, and even, I guess, Koshi will pull out maybe one of the fungus flowers, or maybe, like, even Yeah, I think one of the fungus flowers is an example, and just hold it up before saying, the funk of 40,000
Jesus.
years.
Stop.
Oh. Okay. So Hilde, like looking at the flower as offered, is she's got, you know, her hand up to her face, you know, very contemplative sort of expression. I see. That does, in some ways, make my job a lot easier. Have you spoken with Miss Sally, the one at the ancient stream?
Have we? Crap.
Yes.
No,
you-
she's
She,
the one.
or
No.
she-
No,
she
when you said the
herbalist,
name
right?
of the shop, I was like, wait, have we been there? It's like, wait, no, you just said that was the name of the shop.
yeah.
I realized right as you said it. I'm sorry. So yes, we have. Stop, leave me alone.
It's
been a
okay.
while.
It's been a very long week.
We're missing our note taker, okay?
I know. We
We're
miss
missing
her
the
already.
tomat.
But no, it's all good. But you can see that Hilde is basically like obviously taking mental notes about all of, and yeah, you mentioned you've actually spoken with her. Well, that sounds like something that, you know, she might be interested in knowing about. She might even be able to work something like that into perhaps finding a way to help us, just in case this incursion, or just in case something like this ends up getting deadly. But, well, I'm going to have to go and make sure that my men are on high alert. And she looks over to Samuel and Maxwell, and then basically barking at them to inform the ranks to be ready for this and to start setting up. If indeed you saw these creatures just outside of town, then she then adds at the end of it, looking at Danforth somewhat skeptically, saying, I'm going to buy you enough time to get through your immediate ceremony and fire dancing, but after that, I'm going to have to insist that you make your way inside somewhere. And at this, Danforth kind of, you know, he nods and goes, of course, this does sound very serious. And he's looking directly at the party and does not look at Hilde as he's saying this.
Thus.
Sus.
Sus. Lyronus is also... I know I'm being quiet on Lyronus' part. Shut up, I'm DM. There's a lot of characters in this scene that I'm playing.
Oh no! Oh no! The DM has
no.
to talk about tons of NPCs and won't talk about the one I want to hear about. I'm sorry.
No, Gab, this is revenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's revenge for
feel bad.
what we've done to you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How dare you play my game? God,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you?
I
Out
know.
of the 151 NPCs you currently play.
Jesus, it's not even really an exaggeration.
Yeah.
So, on the susbutt, yes, that's what he is. He's a susbutt.
On the suspect.
After a moment, and as Hilde is going about, like, even just, like, setting up, like, it just, you know, going about getting ready to set up for potential attack, Danforth does regard the party for just a moment longer before blustering out one more, thank you again. We'll see you at the celebration within the hour. And at this, he hurries away across the bridge. Let me, in fact, move him. Whoop! He's making his way back to town.
Make his way downtown.
Walking fast.
Walking fast.
Walking faster.
Walking fast.
So, after a moment, Hilde, I need to click on this one, actually goes over to the stall, leans over the counter, bending over it all the way to reach underneath the counter, and actually
Giving
pulls...
Haelum a good view.
Yes.
Stop.
Giving everyone a good view of that ample, delicious ass of hers. She's a big woman. Anyway.
I mean, let the record show you were the one who took the bit all the way through.
Yes, I certainly did, in fact, take the bit. Anyway.
You know.
So she retrieves something from behind the counter, effectively, inside the stall, and then walks over to Koshi specifically, and ends up handing them a very like, I want to say small pouch, but it's like, it's about the size of a mini dice bag kind of thing. It's a very small thing, but you can very clearly hear the jingle of the jangle of a handful of coins.
Koshi takes a look inside to see what kinds of coins.
It is, in fact...
Monopoly money.
Probably. You actually find 5 gold in there. And she continues on to say, I heard that you happened to take the brunt of a particularly nasty attack. It looked to them like, well, perhaps you ought to be dead by now. So in turn, because you put your life literally on the line for my man, I wanted to give you special thanks.
Thank you, stranger.
She kind of... She
But you know me.
Yeah, she grins awkwardly at that and says, actually, in fact, she goes, but you know my name, silly. My name's Hilde.
Let's see.
Wait, you're
I
one of
love you,
them
Applejack.
You're one of them creatures that can only, like, repeat sounds, right?
The same.
Sir Pounce, what are you doing? Did you lie down with your claws in the chair?
You mentioned Janglies, he came for the Janglies.
Resident
I can
Koshi.
feel life drain from you.
Resident Koshi.
God.
So, why are you like this, cat?
You raised him.
I know. I
You have
kidnapped him.
literally no one to blame but yourself.
I can blame you.
You can also blame Ireland, but that's not the point.
I can, in fact, blame Ireland. So, Lyronus eventually ends up picking up. Let me even just see.
Yeah. For reference, chat, Ireland is where she got the cat.
Uh-huh.
That is the joke here.
Oh, I get it now.
I get it.
I don't get it.
Lyronus ends up actually picking up the whip.
Damn.
And he ends up kind of like, you know, while this whole conversation and he's kind of quietly going over all of this, he's letting you guys do the talking and all of that. He needs to be quiet for a little moment.
Yeah, we're
He
giving
really
him
does.
space.
But he ends up basically securing the whip alongside his backpack, effectively. So that it's basically, it's stored. It's not immediately available for combat, but he was kind of like, you could see him, like, while you guys were doing that, he was literally distracting himself by going, ooh, and playing with the fucking whip. Not cracking it, per se, but like...
I am so looking forward to hearing when Jane finds out Lyronus has a whip now.
She's not gonna get it. I'm calling it now.
Walks out, sees Lyronus playing with the whip. Like, goes in the face and goes back inside.
Look, I'll say this much. Jane has surprised me with what she does know now, so it's a 50-50 on how she reacts to his whip. It's either gonna be like, ooh, good for him, he can use it like my thorn whip, or, oh, that's a kink. I fully acknowledge she'll probably see the kink.
Oh, God.
We've ruined her.
For further context, chat, Jane is one of those people where she isn't always in tune with, like,
well,
basically,
it's not important to focus on it. It's okay.
Fair enough. I apologize.
Anyone who has seen your Saucy Sweeties video from this last year will get a pretty decent idea, in fact, of what you're about to mention. So, moving things ahead a little bit, just a smidge.
But not too much.
Hilda mentions after, like, handing off the gold pieces and thanking Koshi directly, apparently I've got more work cut out for me than I even anticipated, but thank you all for, in fact, letting me know about that.
Of course. We, didn't want you to be unprepared, of course. Considering, I'll admit, I forgot there was supposed to be a celebration.
It'll be tough for both of us.
I mean, it honestly probably should be slipping some people's minds that we're supposedly having some sort of party tonight. As much as I want to honor and respect what you guys have done for us already, I don't think this is quite the right time to be And then she stops herself. Well, anyway, I've got a job to do. And I hope to make it so that at least y'all can enjoy the beginning of the festivities. Hopefully nothing ends up changing that. And with that, she goes back, heading into the barracks to do stuff, and the two guards are running about doing their stuff.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was even gonna say Haelum kind of like agrees with the sentiment, though. She wouldn't interrupt, but she would just kind of nod.
Cat?
Like,
Oh, really? Griffin, I think Sir Bounce has knocked over one of the bins.
Okay, one moment.
Another sign, by the way, that we are, in fact, living in the same place.
I need more proof.
Not even in there yet. Hey, I mean, good news is the lid didn't come off. So,
He just decided to knock it over.
yes, I am angry.
He's just like, fuck you.
I am rotund and angry.
It's not time yet.
Your day will come. But it is not today.
Every day is cat day, and also, don't you fucking mimic a gun, you bitch. Anyway,
Oh yeah. You too.
sit down! Anyway, so... Lyronus ends up, like, after picking out securing the whip, going over to the others. So, do you think we should, take Hilda up on her suggestion to speak with, Miss Sally again, or should we make good on our promise to meet up with Davies Thanasi?
Because the thing is, like, right now Sally is currently preoccupied with what she's doing with Ariadne. So they may have to wait their turn.
That would be a good, like, that would be, not good, but that would also be an assumption made on their part. They're like, well, we might not be able to even talk to Miss Sally right now.
Yeah.
So we want to talk to these first.
Oh, good point. And then he kind of glances to the side, chuckling awkwardly. Do you want to roll insight?
Oh, this is gonna break my heart.
Oh.
Koshi is distracted by their new stick.
As
What
well
is
they
it?
should be.
What does Haelum say?
Haelum, what you're able to actually tell from Lyronus' reaction, he's actually embarrassed that he managed to forget that Sally was occupied with Ariadne right now.
Ah,
You can
I
tell
see.
that there's embarrassment in his face in response to the, well, actually, isn't she busy? And like, oh, right, of course. Right. So, yeah, he's not happy with himself at the moment.
Haelum will make the off comment to try to cheer him up and say, like, well, that being said, I mean, it's not a bad thing if we do interrupt her, since Haelum is a part of our group, but just to be on the safe side, let's go see what Davies wants first. Does that sound good?
Lyronus nods. Yes, let's go do that. Assuming, and he looks over to Koshi.
Onwards and upwards.
Okay.
Let's go. Haelum doesn't want to make me feel bad just for the sake of it.
So, if we want to make our way over here.
No.
Alright, bye, Haelum. Anyway.
She just stands there and T-poses.
Do 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 do.
Yes, Zelda? Zelda, dice are not for eating, despite how
Yeah,
they
they
may
are.
look.
Yeah,
No,
not
they
with
are.
that attitude.
Eat them. Eat your
So-
dice.
The forbidden crunch.
As you approach this building, again, easily the largest building in the entirety of Vermouth, it looks even bigger as you make your way around. So, like, God. So, as you're making your way through, you can tell that, like, the actual main entrance is over right around where Danforth his icon presently is, anyway.
Yeah.
That things are incredibly spacious. Like, you can see the height of it, but as you get closer, it almost feels like it's this perspective illusion. It's actually really, really big. Like, you can feel the size of it and the immensity of it,
Yeah.
and the sort of even sense of gravity to it. Like, not that it's so big that it has its own gravity, but that this is not even quite out of place, but it's like, oh, what would it be called? The equivalent of like the stud in the wall. You know, like this is a major fixture in this town. It was like among the originally conceived architectures of this entire place.
Gotcha.
Roll. Let me even think for a second. What would I have you rolled for this? Roll perception for me, I guess.
I'm perceiving.
Koshi really likes their new stick.
Koshi is probably... I can even see that Koshi is literally, like, turning the staff over in their hands, kind of, like...
Just eyeing it over every nook and cranny.
How does this work? What is the mystery of it?
Pretty
what is
much.
The magical property of this?
More importantly, what circumstances can I take advantage of to bonk the long-haired one over the head with it?
Oh,
No.
God.
Wait,
It
which
is-
long-haired one?
Who do you think?
There's multiple.
Yeah, but only one they would want to bonk.
I
don't
see.
know.
Well,
The day's not over yet.
Koshi, you are indeed infatuated with your new stick.
Yep.
Cool stick,
Haelum.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to the sort of gravity of this is very much a focal point for the entire village, you get this strange sense of dread pooling in your gut. Something feels off, almost like there's something radiating out of the building itself that just turns your stomach. And let me roll for Lyronus. He is distracted by his own thoughts at the moment, but you definitely notice
Probably
this,
for the
Haelum.
better. I
Yeah.
will brunt this. So she's not getting a good feeling.
Okay. Does she vocalize this at all?
I don't think she would,
Hmm.
honestly. If
So,
if she turns to the others and they both look distracted, she'll keep it to herself.
I
Because
see.
she's like, oh, maybe it's just me who has this feeling.
Yeah, maybe it's just her. As you come to the front door, like literally, like just as you're making, I can even see like there's a moment of Haelum pausing outside of the front door, kind of looking up and having that moment of like the panning camera and the focal distance shifting shot on Haelum, and then snapping back to like a normal midway shot, just talking about cinematography here, like as if I know anything about it. The door opening,
Nice.
and Davies steps out. He almost seems to stare straight through you.
I think I'm going to have Koshi roll insight to see if they can parse together what Davies was either feeling or expecting.
Okay. Okay. Davies is reflecting no emotion whatsoever. That's what you were sensing from him. In fact, there's
With a 19.
whereas before, yeah, no, hang on. Whereas before, you got definitely like there was smug rolling off of him in waves. You would get that sense that regardless of anything else that was in his mind, you would always get the sense of there being, just boop him into reality here anyway. That there was something particularly, that there was at least still some kind of emotional response going on under the surface, Mr. Dark and Broody and whatever over here. Now, you don't get an inch of that. And so he says, I changed my mind. My father isn't responsible for any of this. I spoke with him, and he explained that the magical artifacts he acquires are just a hobby. A way to take his mind off of dearest Emily. I was misguided and angry. You should go enjoy the celebration.
Koshi squints at this. There,
Same.
definitely.
And if you want to roll insight, Haelum, you
will.
can. Koshi, your insight is going to continue from this point. Cool. So you both go.
So I've got the same.
And let me see, Lyronus, are you paying attention? He's paying attention now!
Yay!
So
This
would-
is
would I-
time.
So,
Yeah, so would I need to roll an additional insight?
no,
Or...
this is carried
Okay.
over from what you rolled before.
Gotcha.
Davies is speaking almost on automatic, the words sounding rehearsed, and his gaze never seems to truly fall on you. Something is not sincere about what he's saying, almost as if he's not the one saying it.
Haelum will give a sort of smile that she is purposely giving off a fake smile in that she's gonna smile but look angry, and this is also an act. I'm just putting that out there. She puts on the
Yeah.
smile and goes, "I see. So you took our time. So you decided to schedule something to take our time away from our incredibly busy schedule of saving this town, simply just to say, oh, never mind. Doesn't seem like something you would do. Or if you did, well, seems incredibly rude." She's trying to gauge his reaction.
Roll persuasion for me.
Boop.
Damn.
Cool. So I'll say this. What you just said... Okay, so his expression has been kind of blank this entire time. As you say that, his gaze goes from kind of staring off somewhere in the general direction of the three of you to being focused on Haelum. His eyebrow knits a little bit, his eyebrows furrow, and a little flash of anger and confusion register on his expression. And he says, "I did not mean to waste your time." And then there's like, this was not for nothing, and I'll say that much. I'm saying that now as DM.
Yeah.
This was not for nothing, but it does seem to almost immediately recede after that outburst of irritation at the implications of what you were saying.
Something bubbling beneath the surface there.
And we can all tell that, right?
Yeah, this is not something he's hiding at the moment.
Could I roll Arcana to see if Koshi recognizes this as some sort of, like, trance or the product of some sort of potion?
Go ahead and roll Arcana. Cool. Yeah, you look at this and you can tell that there is some kind of charm on this guy. Weirdly enough, in all of your time in actually studying you haven't studied Arcana, at least as far as you know, but you've had passing encounters with it, especially if you've ever dealt with, like, passing on magical artifacts or passing on magic scrolls or something along those lines. Like,
Yeah, or even, like, potions or things like that.
Yeah. There's some kind of charm that's going on here, but you cannot tell exactly what's going on. But yes, there's definitely something magical affecting his behavior. You can kind of even see it, like, on closer inspection while you're thinking about it. Like, the eyes almost seem to have a faint glaze over them, like a faintly cloudy glaze. Ragnar with the thinky face. "Hey, Ian! I actually made a Sunday stream for once. Welcome, welcome!"
Yeah.
Hello.
And it's time for me
It's time for me.
to... You can stop. And you... Let me know if you can hear that.
A little bit, yeah.
It's gonna be soft.
Yep.
Cool. So this is just for ambiance sake for the moment. So, I'm sorry, did you say something about Koshi taking an action, or were they just looking...
Koshi's not taking any actions. They're just evaluating the situation.
Okay. Davies continues. "Father has a wonderful surprise for you, especially to apologize for what I did to Vermouth. I ruined everything, you see. He has a plan for ending the curse on Vermouth. And I set... Wow. I set it back. I crossed out so many things on this sentence. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I write all my notes by hand. Ragnar, pretty good, except that today is the final session of the D&D campaign I'm in got delayed later this week. Oh, that sucks. So that, no, don't step on the dice. I know. Anyway, he has a plan for ending the curse on Vermouth, and I set it back considerably. And at this, tears come out of his eyes without any other traces of sadness in his expression.
Well, Haelum doesn't like that.
The music! Haelum doesn't like that.
So, I think actually, before Haelum will say anything to Davy, she's gonna look to Lyronus and Koshi, and like she's gonna also kind of like motion to look at Ariadne, realizing she's in here. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to make a decision without her, or I'm gonna have to ask. Like, she's gonna look at Lyronus and Koshi and say, she's going to say to them, should I be keeping this up?
Keeping up the appearance of...
I guess the act of cordiality.
Yeah. If Lyronus doesn't end up understanding what she's saying, and even if Koshi doesn't, she's asking them for a yes or a no, basically.
Koshi.
I guess the question is, who else is around right now? Or is there like a crowd still outside around them?
There's not an obvious crowd, like I can't show each and every single NPC that's in the area, but they are still pretty scattered at the moment, although... Okay, actually, hang on. Let me just roll something real quick. Okay. So you actually see, in this particular area, you're seeing about 6 or 7 people actually intentionally, like, setting up a table, because it's over in this area here, in the main square area. That you're seeing, like, 6 or 7 people pulling a table into place, setting things up, starting to attach streamers to the trees and posts and all of that stuff. So they're definitely getting ready for this party coming up pretty soon, in fact.
I think... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You were asking if there are other people around. They're not immediately in this area in front of the Thanasi estate. Like, from where you're standing, they're not going to be sticking their noses into the Thanasi estate business.
With that in mind, I think I want to roll perception to see if Koshi notices anyone, like, looking out the windows of the Thanasi estate. Basically, if there's anyone in that building watching them right now.
Roll investigation.
Investigation? Okay. I'm better at that anyway.
Yeah, interesting. What you actually see... At first, you don't really see much of anything. You will notice, however, on looking at them, that all of the curtains are drawn. And one of them, on what looks to be from where you're standing, what looks like the 3rd floor, one of those curtains moves slightly.
Let's see.
In response to this, I think Koshi is going to... Well, now that they have a feeling they're being watched, Koshi's going to nod in response to Haelum's question, so they can at least have enough of... Yeah, keep it up. Have enough of an excuse to either just non-violently find a way to get out of that situation to resolve it later, or find some way to get around it otherwise. I think Koshi will also maybe pretend to scratch their nose while also pointing upward towards the window.
Okay. I'm even just double-checking something.
Yep. I mean, Haelum is pretty sneaky, so I'm sure she would notice that. She's hoping that, like, I think this is the one way that Koshi and Haelum can really talk, is like being very subtle in conversation.
Oh, yeah. Like, would I have to roll a performance or something to convey that to Haelum?
Well, is Haelum looking at Koshi?
Yes.
Yeah, she mentioned that she was, so you would see him doing this gesture.
They're giving each other codes right now, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, Koshi would nod in response, but they would also then proceed to pretend to scratch their nose while pointing up at the window from which they saw the moving curtain.
And I will say that Lyronus was looking at Davies very, very seriously, and then at Haelum's, like, visual, like, eyeball query at the team, he actually kind of, like, no trace of his usual smile on his face. He glances at Koshi nodding, and then also nods himself. But it's one of those, it's almost semi-hesitant, but he nods with the let's keep up appearances thing. And then, let me see if he notices, yeah, wow, he actually notices Koshi doing the gesture.
Oh, we're all on
And
the same page.
Follows where Koshi is pointing, and feel free to roll a, I will say, you can choose either investigation or perception, because you're giving it an idea of where to look, but also it's a matter of if, like, you say you're looking at the wrong window or something like that, you could perceive overall.
Who needs to roll?
You.
Well, I'm not looking up technically. I guess I can still roll anyways.
I was just gonna say, if you wanted to look and follow where Koshi was pointing, you could roll either an investigation or a perception. Cool. You do actually, you don't see any curtain movement, but
Right.
you do probably at least pick up on the fact that the curtains are, again, all drawn on, like,
Finally noticing that bit.
all of them happen to be drawn at the moment. And then, hang on,
Okay.
roll me a d4.
Ooh,
Her or
Yeah,
us?
Haelum. Sorry.
No worries.
Cool. Alright, that's all you see. Anyway. Oh, goodness.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just reading the chat. Like, I'm sorry about that, ENGs.
Yeah.
Well, so.
Yeah. So I think Haelum getting the responses from them, like, this all happening in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
She kind of, like, turns back to, Davies, kind of, like, clearing her throat. Again, putting on the front of, like, instead, this time she turned to them. She makes it look like she turned to them to go, like, can you believe this guy? So she's turning back, looking angry, and then putting on a fake smile again.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, well, I can't say that I know what you did to ruin everything, but certainly I'm glad that you are apologizing. There's no need to cry about it. We will forgive you. I'm sure everyone will. So long as you have the option to talk about it. She holds out a hand to him.
Roll persuasion.
You know, it's a formality at this point. And I say that right as I fail this one. Never mind.
Nope.
Christ on a stick.
Once again, his expression tightens. This time, his eye actually twitches, and anger and the arrogance that you've seen in this man from the beginning.
There he is. There's my
Breaks.
favorite boy.
It's that boy.
You have a type.
I'll be honest.
Cyril.
I was also making a joke. I was trying not to say the full joke. It's like, that's him. That's my favorite white boy.
Well, I mean, that also works here.
I was like, well, he's technically white. My favorite fantasy white boy.
Favorite
Oh,
fantasy one?
God.
Yes.
They're all my favorite, Lorg. You made them all my favorite. Fuck off.
So the anger cracks the blankness of.
That's what the mask is.
Yes. Anyway, and
Sorry.
he's what did I do? And then he gestures over at the statue and says, "I'm the one who put everyone in this town in danger to make some sort of point about my father. And you guys couldn't even figure that out until I told you something specific." And I'm saying this as a meta. Yeah, you knew before he said anything to you, but as far
Yes.
as he's concerned, he's the one he's the only one who knows anything in this town, so, like, you guys couldn't figure this out. So, until I even said anything to you. What did I even do? You were there for it. You're being celebrated for fixing what I broke.
Does anyone in the town square hear this?
Let me see.
Especially with the yelling.
Yeah, right?
I think I also may need like a meta clarification too, because I'm also trying to remember what exactly he did, because Haelum is under the impression that like if someone's making him say this, then whatever he's saying right now isn't necessarily true.
Well, I think the implication here, which is I think what we parsed together, is that he was responsible for the fuckery at the statue, and I think this outburst here, like with the actual legit anger, is him sort of cracking through the trance momentarily.
Yep. I will say that he did also mention it before, that he was the one who was behind it. Because he was trying to get people in town to notice that something was going on that was, like, they had already come to accept the presence of zombies, and so they had become complacent fucking cows. So he was trying to get them to be like, whoa, what's going on? And so he activated a magical item that caused winds to sweep through the entire town and cause all
That's
of
what I
this.
was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
that's
you're
the thing
fine.
I wanted to clarify. It's like, well, we know Davies isn't responsible for the zombies. If they're talking about the storm and the thing that we all stopped, okay. In Haelum's mind, that's what she knows he did. But the fact that he is at the front door right now saying that everything was his fault, Haelum knows that's a lie. So now that he's gotten through the facade again, the spell outbursted, that's what I needed to connect. Thank you. My brain also.
Yeah, it's
She's
all good.
smiling at that.
So Lyronus, seeing Davy start to break down, kind of like holds up his surpounce. Not right now. He holds up his hand.
Holds up his surpounce.
He holds up his surpounce.
Don't make me use this.
And steps forward towards Davies. What you did may not have been the right thing, but forgive me in saying so. It was not as though you did so without reason. What has changed your mind on this? Davies looks at Lyronus, and I'm gonna roll something. Oh.
Yeah.
Whoopsie doodle. Well, okay, let me double check what his modifier. Okay, alright. Davies has a moment of, like, the anger was there, but as he says that, unfortunately at this, the anger abates again. And he replies with, I had my reasons, but they were misguided. My father corrected me on that.
Haelum smiles and says, your father seems to be doing a lot of rash decision-making today. We'd very much like to speak with him if he's home. You see, he was here earlier and we spoke to him, but he seems to have run off.
Davies says, he has returned home in preparation for the celebration tonight. Father only wants what's best. You will want to be at the ceremony so he can finally make things right with you, to make up for my mistakes.
With us? Certainly he owes nothing to us. We owe nothing to Vermouth. I understand that we are having a celebration. Again, this is her putting on an act. She puts a hand out to Davies, like if she can touch his shoulder without him recoiling. She's like trying to get like really friendly.
Oh yeah, he's not recoiling at all.
Okay, good. So she'll put her hand on his shoulder like, certainly, we appreciate the gesture, but all this trouble for festivities when zombies are on your doorsteps, it seems that your father has misguided priorities. Certainly, you don't really need to celebrate our good deeds. Who knows, we may be gone by tomorrow. She's specifically trying to get a rise out of him or Danforth.
Right. I will say that Danforth is not immediately in the vicinity. I know that his icon's on board, but he's already gone inside the house.
Let me clarify. Davies or whoever's controlling him that she thinks is Danforth. That's her assumption. I'm not saying that's the truth. That's what she thinks is happening.
I see.
Right.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
roll me a...
You're trying not to say persuasion.
It's not persuasion. Roll me a d10.
Oh, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fucked am I?
Interesting. Okay, so this was more out of like a percentage thing, but I was just going with d10 for
Yeah.
I have a straight vague sense of foreboding about Davy's words. I don't know what gave it away. The music?
This is fine.
This is fine. In response to the mentioning of... It was the mentioning the zombies imminently attacking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He smiles and says, "That's part of his plan. You will want to be at the ceremony." And at that, he actually retreats inward back to the house, closing the door and immediately locking it. Unless you want to take some sort of action to try and prevent that, but he largely moves pretty quickly, so it would have to be like at least a dex save in order to stop him.
I'm not sure Koshi would do anything to necessarily try and stop him, but I think they might utter something as they're turning to take their leave. If someone had treated me the way he has treated you, I think I would have killed them.
Damn.
Damn. Yeah, I don't think Haelum would stop him. She would let him go.
Alright,
But-
roll sorry.
Oh, good.
I was gonna say roll perception.
Alright, both of us?
Yes.
Alright.
I'm sorry, was that 16 you just now?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. Koshi, you're distracted by your quarterstaff again. No, I'm kidding. I can imagine...
Might as well be.
I could say this being that Koshi would have possibly let their gaze be going back up to, like, one of the windows
Yeah.
to see if they can pick up on any further movement. But, Haelum, you and Lyronus both, you see, fluttering at his feet as he walks away, a single sheet of paper torn out of some kind of binding. And it seems to faintly shift in the wake of his retreat, and especially as the door closes.
We can pick it up.
You can go ahead and pick it up. Do you
She
read
does. Yeah, of course. No, I eat it.
it? Okay, that's not gonna help. That's actually gonna be bad.
What is it?
It reads, "Devil Davies, do you really think I wouldn't notice your dalliance with those intruders? They will undoubtedly buy into your lies and try to stop me, but we know the truth, don't we? I've lost all patience with you. These words bind you to my whim, blood of kin to cleanse the sin, in endless halls of mist and haze, I take the place beyond your gaze." And, at the bottom of this letter, an arcane symbol of some kind seems to singe the paper around it.
Can I roll Arcana to see if Koshi recognizes the symbol?
Yes, in fact, you both can. And in fact, Lyronus can too. And, oh, cool.
Haelum is unfortunately recognizing this.
Uh-huh. This wasn't exactly a tall, DC either, but, you recognize that this symbol is connected with necromancy.
Oh, good.
The music also helps with that, yes. Lyronus also notices this, and if he was already kind of pale before, he's getting pale.
Upon seeing this, Koshi goes, "Dark magic."
Haelum takes the piece of paper, folds it, and tries to make it look like... I think when she was reading it, if I might be able to retcon slightly, if she picks up the piece of paper, what she would do is hide it first and be like, stretches and yawns and goes, "Well, that was a waste of our time. Let's go for a walk." And then would reveal the note to them away from the house and away from people.
I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
Because I was even going to mention, if we could do that, she would show them the note and say, like, "So we're all on the same page that Danforth is nothing but trouble now, yes?"
Lyronus
At this
points
point-
to the paper. "Well, yes, that page is right there, after all."
She smiles.
He's crazy, and he needs to go down.
Lyronus looks at Koshi horrified. He's under a charm of some kind.
No. Danforth does. Davies is under a charm, and I was trying to see if we could break him out of it. Unfortunately, I am not one of those spellcasters who knows dispel magic. I should probably pick that up at some point. I did know a friend who could. I want to just add like a story thing. She'll explain a situation where in the court once somebody did try a charm person during a debate, and they're actually the guards there specifically detect magic and dispel magic so that in those debates nobody can magically change someone's opinion. And she says the fact that Danforth broke the first rule of my court's debate policy pisses me off. You can't magically control someone to say something. And then she's like, she's saying it's bothering her. She knows this is not the court, but she's saying that to do that to anybody, she knows charm spells, but she's not going to do that in such a way to, like, she hates that it's happening to them when they need information, basically. She's like, when you use it against me, now I'm mad.
Now, how dare you? You've inconvenienced my investigation.
How dare you use what I use against me?
God.
At least be half as pretty as I am before you attempt my tricks.
Exactly.
Oh,
But
yeah.
So she'll
So-
explain that.
yeah, Lyronus is kind of like potentially looking over the bottom of the note, and again pointing to the words. Well, this certainly does seem to imply whom it might be, doesn't it? And he points to the line, "Blood of kin to cleanse the sin."
To which Koshi replies, the sins of the father.
That's just me as DM giggling.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Haelum agrees and says, this is a situation where the unfortunate circumstances of a family have brought even more unfortunate circumstances on the town. If those zombies are a part of his plan, and I hesitate to think about what the plan is, we should warn Hilde. I think we should also talk to Miss Sally and bring Ariadne up to speed, but one matter might be more pressing than the other, given she, like, holds out a hand to, like, people still setting up for the festivity.
Mm-hmm. But Lyronus nods emphatically to the suggestion of speaking with Hilde.
Koshi nods as well.
Alright, shall we then?
We got a little note from Jane as well
Oh.
in discussion. So it doesn't look like she'll be back in time. So another reason to just be like, we'll get Ariadne later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she says, hope you all are kicking butts and taking names. And we are.
Kind of.
Yes. And that she is with us in spirit.
Wow, I've got so many... There we go, okay. Just making sure I've got, everything under... Okay, cool. Sorry, I was moving a couple of things around on screen because I have so many windows open.
It's Gucci.
Wah. Let us out of the truck. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, Griffin, to respond to Jane, said, we are with you as well. She said, I'm with you in spirit. He said, we are with you as well. I said, we are with you. Let us out of the trunk.
Zelda, please. I'm trying to set an ambiance of evil and
Meow! Meow!
mystery.
Meow!
Drop this back and, there we go. So, do we head out across to where the Hilde is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like her. I don't want her to die. I mean, there are no predetermined deaths.
You know what,
You know
man?
what, man?
I guess you're right. Lyronus flies across the river. Anyway.
Perfect.
No, Koshi just hit him with a baseball bat and knocked him over.
I'll go the long way.
I mean,
You
he
go
would
that
have
way.
actually
Go.
walked, you know. Done the
I
traditional
walk. Oh, I
thing.
fell in the river. Oh no!
She nods in approval.
She slipped.
I just
God.
picture, like, literally walking on fucking water. What? I'm too dainty.
Exactly.
Alright, just double checking stuff. Okay.
I don't get wet. Water gets me.
Well. Anyway. Make your way back over, and I will say, like, Hilde will have gone inside the barracks, and on your approach, you see her emerging, and now you see her. Like, whereas before she had, like, you know, little tiny bits of armor that was still strapped to her, now she's full plate.
Hell yeah.
Now she's full plate, and you see her helmet under her arm, and you can see a fucking giant-ass greatsword on her back. Like, you know, there's a greatsword, and then she's got the greater sword, effectively.
Hell yeah.
The woman pulls out a real-ass goddamn sword.
She does! That's right.
Hell yeah.
Hilde pulls out a giant-ass goddamn sword. I actually need to work on a Percy impression. Anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, she closes, and at this point, you see her actually locking the door, because, actually, in fact, roll a minor perception for this. Isn't going to be a major or anything, or a major deal or anything, but this is just, like, for a minor little detail. It was the 18 and 17 for this round.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I was glancing down when you guys rolled it. So many perceptions, so many arcanas. Anyway,
You were distracted by Koshi's stick this time.
I know, right? You actually do notice, as in fact she is locking the door to the barracks, that the sounds that you had been kind of hearing of, like, bustling about inside, or even people clanging swords, or, you know, like, the signs of life, so to speak, they've now emptied out, and instead, looking around, because you definitely, with those rolls, you definitely notice this, the guards are definitely out in full force. And there are several of them. But they are definitely immediately armored up. They are definitely immediately getting into place at any potential boundary around the village. And they're working damn fast to get there. So, upon that, she turns and sees you and strides over. And, you're back. Is everything alright?
Unfortunately, no. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna start with, unfortunately, no. We actually had a few quick questions for you before you all, you know, headed out.
Yes?
One, and this is gonna sound awkward from the urgency that she says, what's your opinion on Davies?
Actually, that's gonna be Hilda's reaction, is literally just laughing. I think after a moment, like, she stops herself, realizing this is not the time to be amused by the mention of Davies. But, the Thanasi boy, right? The little sprat of a boy.
Yes, exactly him.
I suppose he's a little bit less, young nowadays, but even still. He's an interesting fellow, isn't he?
He is. You see, I just had an interaction with him, and I wanted to, well, in terms of the the other questions I have for you, wanted to gauge your opinion on him.
He is an intelligent man in a dumb man's mindset.
Ah, so we are on the same page.
Lyronus just kind of smiling awkwardly, like, "Aw, why are we being mean?"
Okay, perfect. So to my next question, what are your opinions on Danforth? Truly.
Roll perception.
Perception.
Jesus.
Here's my perception wall.
Jesus fucking...
25.
I love that Haelum's rolls give me Ophelia vibes.
You let this happen.
Laura, I am giving you just a taste of your own medicine.
I know, and I'm happy
just
about
a slight little taste.
I just picture, I think the last persuasion roll that Ophelia did, or one of them anyway, was a nat 1, and it was still a 10.
Yeah, you literally can't get lower than a 10 naturally.
Verswaption. Thank you, Ragnar.
Verswaption.
Yes.
That's spelled like W-A-P-WAP.
Perquaption. Okay. Jesus Christ. Where was... Oh, yes, no, so, yes,
Danforth.
Ophelia is definitely... no, I'm making the remark. Ophelia is definitely one of those... She is performing exactly as I have designed her to be. the fucking persuasion of the group, and Haelum is definitely, well, I would say she's definitely filling those shoes, except she doesn't wear shoes, so
She's filling the dress.
at first you see Hilda's expression, like, there's amusement that once again crosses her features, but like almost as if in response to your face as you press on that, on Danforth in particular and her opinion on him. Well, nah, that's not an easy question to answer. I mean, he is the one in charge around here, and he does run things pretty well. I mean, even in times of crisis, he generally has a good head on his shoulders. And then looking across the river at the house thoughtfully for a moment, and it's not hard to tell, you don't even have to roll insight for this, she is thinking back to the fact that, again, he normally has a good head on his shoulders, but for some reason he's having a party in the middle of a fucking zombie incursion, so...
I mean...
She nods to that then and says, so it sounds like both men are generally very well rounded in their intelligence, but seem to be having some trouble as of late.
Well, I'm gonna be real honest with you, ma'am. That entire family's been in trouble for a while. I mean, have you heard about what happened to their family around the time that the curse started falling on this city?
Haelum's no longer smiling.
This town.
Yeah, Haelum's no longer smiling. She says, we've heard. Unfortunately, that's why we're here. Ultimately. Not the exact same reason. Anyways, I'm getting off my point. The other question I wanted to ask you is what Danforth has told you about the festivities, beyond what you've told us about the fire dancing.
And then she kind of, like, gets an expression that's, like, the visual equivalent of a question mark. But, well, I mean... What was the question exactly again?
What has Danforth told her about the festivities?
Well, I mean, we run these pretty autonomously at this point. We're all pretty used to setting up decorations and getting ready for a party, but all he's really said is to make sure to keep guard and make sure that none of those creatures end up spoiling the fun. He's agreed officially, like he even sent one of his one of his people over to directly tell me, what to prepare for tonight, and that he was making arrangements with the Reliable Rest Inn for everyone to sort of funnel their way into once the main fire dance and display has been finished. But beyond that, it's just, I guess, honoring what y'all did for us.
Man, Haelum's having a hard time because she's hearing all this and she's like, I personally know as a player, and this is also directed at Griffin since, player meta, I know Danforth's not trustworthy. I know I care about Hilda and the people of this town. I don't know what's going to happen. So Haelum's trying to figure out what to tell Hilda, because if he's telling them to, yes, kill the zombies, make sure they don't get into the town, and it obviously looks like the Force can do that, but if Davies, under that spell, is saying that the zombies are part of whatever's going on, Haelum is assuming they need to be in the town for that, which would imply that Hilda is not enough. But she can't make that assumption looking at her in full plate with the greatest sword.
Yes. It's not even greater sword, it's just now become greatest sword.
Exactly.
The greatest of all.
As Sean likes to put it too, like she's doing that Deku mumble from like My Hero. She's like trying to think about what's being said, and for once she's kind of stumped, so she'll look at Koshi and Lyronus, just kind of be like, she's trying to gauge, like, should they tell Hilda exactly what Davies told them?
That is a good question.
That's a question for you, Griffin, because you're the only other player here. You're the only one I got.
True. I mean, because this woman has already made it clear that she is not really necessarily a fan of this family.
Oh. She is, well, whatever you can glean from what she said, at the very least.
Yeah.
I mean, she sees them as members of the town, like powerful members, and they've got their quirks and all of that, but like
they've had unfortunate circumstances.
And I mean, that's just it. Like, they got hit particularly pretty hard. Everyone in the town did, but they had their own unique difficulties at that time. So, Lyronus, interestingly enough, rolled well enough on his insight on what Haelum was looking at them towards, and ends up stepping up towards Hilde to say, I have zero doubt that you have the ability to keep this entire town safe. You know, and then he gestures to the getup. I mean, I can't think of anything that would want to attack what you are now. It would be a mosquito attacking a bear. Hilda laughs at that, and in agreement with that. But we have our concerns, and glancing again to the others, I don't think that this is going to be just a simple incursion. And Hilde... Well,
I'm very thankful for that and help.
Hilda's looking at him and kind of like thinking about it. Well, what do you mean? Are you talking about the fungus that you pointed out to us, the mold?
At this point, Koshi is going to nudge Haelum and encourage her to show this member of the guard the note.
She nods to that. And we'll also just note she gives a huge smile to Lyronus for stepping up and helping, because Haelum's like, this is the one time I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah, this is weird.
So she'll step up with Lyronus, take out the note, and hand it to Hilde and say, we were going to speak with Davies before the festivities because of a prior conversation. He suddenly decided that he didn't want to continue our conversation, and we found this on his person. Please be careful touching it.
Hilde takes it and examines it. And... oh no.
Uh-oh.
Did we do a dumb?
No. I'm saying uh-oh for something else. Like, okay, so her expression, like, you've seen her so far similar to how her icon is. Like, you know, smiling a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, she can be serious, but she's got that glow to her. She's a very sunshiny sort of person. All of the sunshiny glow about her expression drains from her face. Her eyes suddenly sharpen as she reads through it, and she clutches at the paper so hard it starts to wrinkle as if it's going to tear momentarily.
What did I just say about being careful?
Koshi is going to gently reach out and try to gently prompt the note away from her so that she doesn't rip it up and destroy evidence.
Okay,
well.
That.
Let me think for a second here. You're trying to...
Well, I guess not necessarily, like, because I'm thinking about this now, because, like, is she just, like, gripping the actual paper?
Yes.
You can let her grip it, it's fine.
That's fair. Again, my main concern now is that this is, in fact, a piece of evidence, and I'm just worried that this person may destroy it in their anger. But at the same time, Koshi is not equipped to do strength checks.
Roll insight.
Alright, I will roll insight.
Okay, yeah. So what you can actually tell, I mean, I'll even give the full description also in terms of her overall reaction, but in terms of what you're looking at specifically with the whether or not she's about to just tear the whole thing up or do something to damage the paper, the only damage she's going to do to this thing is gripping it as tightly as she is. Her intention, her anger is not at the paper.
Okay, so in that case, I will retcon Koshi reaching out.
Okay. I will say that what you're even able to pick up, especially, like, generally speaking, I'll even add something in bonus because you rolled really high on that insight in general. So what we can all see is her expression sharpening as she glares at it, kind of gripping at the paper, and then asking in that very quiet, but only because if it's not it's the tranquil rage kind of tone. So, you found this on the Thanasi boy?
Yes, it seemed to float off his person as the door closed.
Her eyes shut tight. She clenches the paper one last time before she doesn't, like, ball it up or anything like that, but she does kind of, like, toss it in their direction. But I will say, again, and Koshi, you can pick up that the anger is most definitely not directed at you guys, that this is a very specific anger. She turns to face away from everyone, glaring into the barracks, and then, from facing the other way, saying, I see. Because here's the thing. Not only did she recognize what's going on in the paper, but she also caught the implication from lines of questioning here and what was actually written there. She rolled an 18 on her insight in terms of actually figuring out intention from what you guys are saying, as well as what the stuff was going on in the note.
Ooh.
Jesus. So I think upon seeing this, Koshi will just sort of say...
I was in the middle of her doing a thing. So,
I apologize.
Koshi will do nothing.
Facing the other direction, like asking that question, then a faint nod. I see. I'm going to have to send out a special missive to my men tonight. And then she turns back to everyone. Y'all need to stay safe. If you've already done so much for us, but we might need your help in dealing with this. And she gestures to the paper as she has discarded it. Hi, Haelum. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
Hi. Listen to this darkness. Hi, Haelum.
I know,
Yeah.
the switch.
So
But
does,
yeah.
does she just discard it on the ground, or?
Yeah, she just kind of, like, discarded it in their general direction.
Koshi will pick up the note and then sort of to reaffirm the fact that they need to be careful. They will go. Walls have ears, doors have eyes, trees have voices, beasts tell lies.
Huh.
Yeah, what he said. Yeah, what they said, yeah.
That's actually, like, Lyronus.
Yeah, I'll drink to that. Sorry.
Lyronus is actually literally, like, you know, that... I think he even says, that was incredibly... Like, that was incredibly poetic. I mean, other than the rhyme scheme, but very nice. Like, he gives, like, a thumbs up.
To which Koshi waves their stick and goes, "You want to get smashed in the face?"
All right.
Yes, RedAsATomato is unfortunately not here tonight. She is running an adventure of her own in real life, and one that I wish we could lend positive dice rolls in her direction, but unfortunately it is limited to the roll 20.
Yeah, we are all raising our hands to give her our energy.
Let us out of the trunk.
So, right, we were in the... What was it we were doing just now? Sorry.
I don't know, playing a game
Secretly
probably.
reassuring the guard to be careful as she was doing the same to us.
Yes. And she nods in agreement. And then, I love that you could even, like, imagine the guards are, like, you know, all about, they're running around to enforce. You will see a very slim, somewhat young man, like, as in maybe mid-teens, and he's in light armor, but some of it is still a little bit loose because he is so very thin. He is running around between the different patches of guards here, and as he's running past, Haelum happens to step forward to, like, about this point, and, like, you can, like, as he's running, she just grabs him by the fucking collar, pulls him close, and basically, you know, not... saying something quietly into his ear, and his expression kind of like, his eyes widen in shock, and then he nods and says, "Right away," and starts bolting in the direction of the other guards. And I will even say, just as this is going on in the background of everything that, like, you know, you guys are doing next, but you see this same young man running to every single one of the guards to speak with them about something. And you can probably even recognize the guards stiffening in posture at whatever it is that this boy is saying to them. So, interestingly enough, I am grinning because you don't know yet what this changes. I'm so proud of you guys.
Oh my god, getting the feelings that I'm getting.
It's never a good sign when the DM says, "I'm proud of you."
What do you mean it's not a good sign?
I'm sure it's fine.
Exactly.
Well,
Fucking-exactly.
I will say that at this, Haelum does kind of go back into the barracks, not inside of it.
Hilda.
You mean
But-
Hilda?
Hilda, sorry.
You're good.
There's
Yeah,
too
no,
many
Haelum
H.
joins her.
Haelum, go in the barracks now. Anyway.
Don't have to tell me twice.
I mean, there is a tall, hot lady that just went in there. I'm not going to object. At this point, the sun finally dips low enough in the sky on your second day in Vermouth, and the marketplace is bustling with the inhabitants more afraid of Danforth Thanasi than the potential siege of undead. True to her word, Hilde has stationed guards around the hamlet in a clear all-hands-on-deck situation. But, as we know, this has already been affected by your choices. And I'm just gonna double-check something. I'm checking a map. Making sure I got everything all set. I actually have to move a couple things around now.
Oh no.
I know, right? It's interesting, in fact. But, yes, it's, there we go. There's that. You need to whoop. And then I need to move.
Okay. Whoop.
Whoop.
Whoop!
Do what Sean does whenever he leaves a call.
Whoop! I'll be heading off to bed now. Good night, Ragnar. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us. And let me just... No. Noah.
No.
Wah.
So, do you want to go to the center of where the action is, as they're setting up for a party, and see what's going on in the main marketplace?
No.
No? Okay, good night, guys. Hope you guys had fun.
Is that one fucking vine like, do you want to go to the prom with me? No.
Okay.
No, but the answer is yes.
Okay. Then, I had a lot of fun putting together this map. This is a combination, and I actually made this map myself. Everyone give me applause and all of the praise that I deserve. So I used a combination of, I think it's like Dungeon Painter Studio or whatever it is, that due to the basic of the base of the map itself, I then also took that, added some alterations that I couldn't do through the program in Clip Studio Paint X, EX, or yeah, it's EX at this point.
EX.
EX.
Yes.
Which includes the streamers, which includes the special effects there, and I'll even get into some of that description, but yes, I put together this for, I don't know that this is going to be more than this, used for more than just this.
That's how it would be.
That's how it would be, but I will say that I am proud of the time that I did invest in it, because I feel like
great.
that's kind of, like, first of all, practice in making maps, and the less that I have to take from other people and, you know, actually make on my own, the better.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to highlight how fucking good I am at mapses. Which
And
is
sparkles.
not very. I will say that the platform currently that is underneath the Danforth token here was once something that I drew, as well as the candles and lamps on it. And as well as the lamps that are actually set up around town, as well as the roof of the well. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna fucking point this out. I actually had fun putting this together.
No, that's
Yeah.
great.
Anyway. So, there has been... Well, I said, yeah. there has been one banquet table set up in the area, or, well, one set up in the main area, as well as one smaller, thinner one set up in front of the Reliable Rest Inn, with tasty chicken, pheasant, and ham amidst fresh greens, fresh breads, and a handful of sweets. In particular, you see Sovalus placing a tray of candied yams and pheasant buns, his expression guarded and worried, so you can see him over by the table, I think. Yeah, he's this guy right here. You can recognize some faces in the crowd, including an anxious Jorvie, an antsy Wally, along with his wary wife, Sally, Hilde and her full armor, and others that you've seen during your time here, like even just like in passing. Roll perception.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Lyronus, fuck you, you oblivious little shit.
Can I just also say, I love the fact that you put together a feast for these heroes, honoring them, including but not limited to chicken and pheasant, knowing
Yes.
full well that one of the heroes is a bird.
Birds eat birds. They
True.
do. I mean, even chickens eat other birds.
Yeah.
They will eat other chickens. If a chicken dies in
if
their
they're
presence,
small
they...
enough.
No, they will eat a full chicken. If a chicken dies around them, they will not hesitate to fucking eat them.
I won't hesitate, bitch.
So, Lyronus is distracted by the streamers and the firelight and all of this stuff. He's like, oh, it's a party!
Yeah,
I will say this. I'll even say this. His expression has finally brightened up to about the point that you normally see him at. Like, he's like, oh, it's a party! Like, it actually brings Lyronus back to himself more.
Haelum wants to be mad, but she can't.
Nothing cures PTSD quite like glitter.
I mean, yes, I will even add that part of what is interesting about the decorations, part of this is it's sparkly because they literally have thrown all sorts of sparkly things around. Like, this is the equivalent of throwing glitter everywhere. But there does seem to be something almost, well, sparkling in the air itself, something semi-ethereal, but you don't get any kind of bad feeling off of it. It feels more... roll nature for me if you guys want to.
Alright.
Ooh, I'm rolling pretty good today.
Yeah.
Let's see, nature. There you are.
I'm
You know?
stealing all the good rolls from Jane.
Oh.
And me.
And you.
Koshi is probably very suspiciously looking at everything. But,
At the chicken and pheasant.
Oh, so it's not even suspicious. That's how much of that can I stuff in my pocket and eat later?
Okay, but I will say they all are also very just generally sus of things happening around, so they're feeling a little paranoid right now.
Haelum, what you can even tell about this shining energy that seems to be permeating the market square here is this reminds you very much of the vibe that you have experienced both in your home, like in the elven lands that you've come from, as well as any particularly... I can't say dense, I'm trying to think of what, but any particularly Fey-touched areas that you've ever been in. This is a presence of something more than just the shiny lights. This is but you don't get a bad feeling off of it. This is actually even kind of pleasant.
Gotcha. That's why it probably doesn't put her off or anything, because she's like, oh, this is just party atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's fame atmosphere, but yeah.
The perception that you guys rolled, and both of you do see this, so even Koshi, you were probably more focused on this than the feeling that the lights give off.
Yeah.
You can also make out the familiar face of Jimothy and the now familiar cloak of Leandra. They stand a ways off, but are watching you intently. And let me whoop. And
a
whoop.
And a oop, and a oop.
They are, if you go to the left, you will be able to see where they are currently standing.
Yeah.
You notice on the outside ring of the guards.
Oh, yes.
But they are here. and they are watching you guys. And
Well, they can keep watching. They got to wait.
And at the center of all this folly, a makeshift stage lit by candles and a handful of lamps, and decorated with bright red and yellow and multiple colors. I decided more after writing this, I guess. Of cloth. Standing at the center, Danforth speaks with a timid half-elf woman who flinches and rushes towards the Athanasi estate. Danforth turns his gaze on you and smiles a toothy grin that catches the candle and lamplight to gleam even in the fading light. Cat, what are you doing? You don't need to do that.
Casting a spell of their own.
They're breaking the new thing that we just set up for them last night. I'm gonna leave it at that. But
Boy.
oh god.
Why?
It begins.
I spent money on that! Anyway. So, any initial reactions to the situation that you have walked in on?
No, sir, I don't like it.
Don't like it one bit. I mean, Haelum's putting on a face of, like, happiness and, like, you know, waving to people if they wave to her, but everyone seems, like, nervous, so I guess not. If he gives a smile, she'll give a smile back to Danforth.
No.
Koshi
Okay,
physically
yeah.
cannot smile, but Koshi will still give a sort of acknowledging nod, while also looking over at their good friends from the forest and giving a bit of a. I'm not sure if Koshi would give like a full-on nod because they might not want to draw attention towards them, especially given all the guards and Danforth. But, you know, Koshi might do like some sort of like, I don't know, like sort of, because I don't think just like doing some sort of weird blinking thing would be enough to let them know like I see you, especially given Koshi's lack of pupils or visible pupils anyway. But basically, Koshi would just look in their direction briefly, make a mental note. Okay, they're there, but I won't, you know, point them out or anything because I don't want to get my potential business partner arrested.
Roll
Right.
perception.
All right.
Yep, you see Jimothy actually pulling out his dagger and pointing it at the, tilting it at the lamplight in such a way that it flashes back in your direction in a code that, let's see, let me see what you can roll for.
Thieves can. More like thieves can.
Roll
I
a
mean-
history for me.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you fucking. Anyway, you can tell that the particular flickering code that he's using here is a signal of acknowledgement, basically.
Koshi will take out a gold coin as their own reflective surface and send a response signal.
I hear you.
Yep, Jimothy nods, as does the cloaked figure.
Yeah.
So, Danforth. This is actually really appropriate time-wise, too. We've been going for a couple of hours. Yeah, all things considered, especially because I don't want to get too much farther ahead without Jane, too. This is going to be,
That's fair.
it's still going to be a little bit of time before, you know, bringing this to a close, but I think this is going to effectively be the last little cutscene here. Sir Pounce, please.
We have one more cutscene, Sir Pounce, please. Just one more.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so because Jane's not here, and I think that Ariadne should be, in fact, back for what's coming up after this. And I was kind of even, I'll say this much, this has not been the best weekend, so... it's been a great week. This weekend has not been great for either of us, unfortunately. And hey, Zach, welcome! Okay. Sorry, I said that in a weird way. Okay. About time you all showed up to your own celebration. We are ready to begin. He gestures to a couple of musicians who do their best impression of a fanfare with a lute and a flute.
I mean, I guess to that response, like, Haelum would... I don't know, like, implying that they're late to their own party?
Yeah, complain that I'm trying to think even. Because Lyronus, I'll even say this, you can see that his icon moved.
Yeah.
He went over immediately to the table and actually immediately stuffed a roll of bread in his mouth, and then Sovolus struck up conversation with him, smiling,
Yeah.
and like, Lyronus was just like clearly relieved at like, oh, conversation, I needed talking people.
Yep.
Like, oh, I just wanted to take a roll, but you're being nice to me. Oh. But, so, yeah, he's doing that. I was even just kind of, like, paused to see if they interrupt at all. If they respond to what he said.
I don't think Haelum's gonna outwardly say anything. She'll give him a wave and a smile as if to say, like, hi, we're here now.
Mm-hmm. Koshi?
I forgot I was still muted. I apologize. But yeah, I think the most Koshi will do is like give a sort of acknowledging nod once again to basically say, yes, it is I, rock you like a hurricane.
Yes.
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 EY. I'm sorry. I love that fucking video. Anyway.
Oh, yes.
So, no kind of relation. Okay, again, just reading my notes, making sure. Okay. Many years ago, Blessed Lyra came to a group of settlers cast out of the forest, and offered them 1 week of safety in return for every night they used her protection to celebrate life, for she saw in their hearts the joy they were craving to share. She then split the ground to grant them a river to quench their thirst, and sent animals from the forest to feed their hunger. In return and in gratitude, those settlers celebrated every night with music, feast, and drink. Lyra knew she had found her faithful and promised protection for as long as they kept her likeness erected in town. And give me a sec, let me check something. Let's see. Yeah, this'll do, I think. Let's let that kick off. Looks like it's going. This is still gonna be subtle music, but...
Yep.
Yeah.
Why are you so quiet to me? It's there, it's just gonna be a little bit low, but that's fine. Actually, fuck it. I'm going to go back to this one, 'cause you can hear it. Anyway, sorry. DM things!
Mood.
So, let's see. As he finishes that and moves on, the sun vanishes into the horizon, and a chill fills your bones. The chill of the curse you felt last night hits you even stronger in the center of town. The residents shiver, and whatever chatter was in the background of Danforth's speech ceases immediately. Roll me a con save.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go.
Nope.
Oh no. Lyronus. Oh, okay, you're okay. Good boy. Oh no. Okay, so Lyronus and Koshi,
Oh.
you just feel that chill descend on you. Haelum, dread fills your bones, and you find yourself paralyzed, rooted to the spot.
Mhm.
Something is very, very wrong here, and the very essence of it, as, like, the other is kind of like, ooh, that was creepy. Just, like, looking up at the house, you sensed, oh, this is evil. That evil feels doubly so now.
Yeah.
You can feel that this curse has started, and actually, this is really, really not good, in fact.
Yeah.
I think since I was even considering doing this before, would I be able to like, would it be perception or arcana to see if Koshi could spot like anything like similar to the runes on the note being displayed like either just around the party or even on the stage?
Roll perception.
Perception? Okay. Fuck.
Unfortunately, you're not able to make out anything that stands out in any way as indicating something similar to that symbol that you saw on the note.
Okay.
But it is also, well, again, the sun just went down, after all. It's a little on the darker side. Danforth's cheer falls with the sun, and he regards you and the crowd somberly. But she did not keep her promise, did she? If she ever watched over us, we already know what her protection means nothing in the face of any true challenge to it. Slightly murmured confusion is mixed with mumbles of agreement, or inattention. Our town. Cursed. My wife taken from me. My daughter made to suffer, finally having her life extinguished despite all of our prayers and pleas. You. He addresses you directly now. Heroes, or so you might be someday. You are the heralds of the end of Vermouth, aren't you? You arrived, and the curse I've held at bay not only returns, but worsens? He addresses the crowd. Did you know the undead have begun their encroachments during the day now? They know their own when they emerge. He jabs a finger in Lyronus's direction, snarling. You! You brought this upon a pawn in your master's plan to spread her blight! Well, I didn't mean for his voice to crack, but mine did.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Lyronus blinks in surprise, shaking his head wordlessly. But I will not let you corrupt my land further. I will summon the strength dearest Emily gives me to drive you out. Danforth laughs in a maddened triumph. I've kept them away by binding them to my will, but you force my hand, strangers. I will use them now to drive you out. Danforth raises his right hand. I did do the correct hand. Sorry, I was like, wait a second. And a ruby ring flashes with light. The music halts as the instruments fall from lifeless fingers. The musicians are joined by a handful of others in a blank, distant stare, including Jorvie. Without the music covering it, the soft shuffling and moaning of undead can be heard closing in from all angles. Give me just a second. Fucking musical sting as I say, give me just a second.
Take your time, sweetie.
Me do some reveals. Doing a couple of reveals. Doing a few revealies.
Mm-hmm.
See. This is going to be fun. And let's, and I will pan it back for those of you that I do not necessarily have. There we go. You can see the entirety of the map with all of these zombies that have now popped up on screen. The fire from every lamp and candle in the hamlet of Vermouth flickers out to darkness, dousing Danforth's maddened grin in a sudden hush. And here we are. Another thing that I worked on at the last moment.
Here we are in fear, and it's
That is amazing.
hell yeah.
Danforth done snapped!
Koshi takes aim.
Of course. Haelum says, okay, off topic a bit, but good job to Griffin and Lindsay for Gaspar and Zeal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciated. That was... It was... I'm glad that they turned out good. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, I actually went off of the icons, because surprise, surprise, the fact that the original icons were not drawn by me indicates that I kind of, picked them up elsewhere, but I took the time based on those tokens to finally draw Danforth. And,
I know that mood.
Hell
That's
yeah.
great.
He's not looking so great there, is he?
No.
He's having a gay old time.
And that is where I'm going to be calling the session for today.
Oh no.
I mean, I will say that the one mistake Danforth made here, he pulled out a shiny gem in front of the burb.
Oh my god.
And now the burb has a clear target.
Yeah. Well, he's got a couple of shiny things there.
Oh, yes.
But, yes, I put a lot of work into the map, which was going to have pretty much just this one scene in it, effectively. And I put a lot of work into this particular image, which I will say will probably be going up, without any obstruction and without stream distance and all of that stuff, to Patreon. So you guys can get a good look at this illustrated scene at the cliffhanger of today's session.
Nice.
So there's going to be that, and there will probably be some voting between now and the next session for this. But hey, guys! So how about that little moment here?
I don't want to talk about it.
That?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But-
he might be looking a bit worse for wear there.
Yeah. Did you catch what he said about Lyronus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I picked up on that. I think Haelum is, given her concept too, I'm having her basically finally, like, she's at her limit, because she's like, let's try to avoid, like, actually no, because earlier she was having trouble figuring out what to say. She's like, usually she's on top of it all, but like, this is a big situation where there's too many unknowns. And I think, especially with the fucking concept itself, she's like, I don't know what to do. So she's hearing about Lyronus, but she's not really gonna say anything about it. She's not gonna register it until later.
Yeah. Oh,
God.
poor Haelum.
Just, fucking Koshi looking at Lyronus. Now look what you do. You broke it.
Sir Pounds, please. He's trying to, well, I was gonna say he's trying to get affection from me, but the truth is he's also probably trying to get food.
Yeah.
So, it is getting almost to about that time anyway, but he's still ahead of schedule. By at least an hour. Dilly is still an hour. I love you. I love you very much, baby boy. Please get off the desk. There we go. Thank you for hitting my head on the way out. Anyway. So, Lyronus is not doing okay right now.
Nope.
And Ariadne is going to have an interesting return. One of the things that I did is I actually talked with RedAsATomato before today's session, because we've known that it was not likely that she was going to be able to join us today, and it's unfortunate that she was not able to. But the good news is that Ariadne is actually finding out something that's going to be very important to know coming up very soon.
She's gonna help us out with something else.
Oh yes, she's going to be bringing something. She's going to be bringing something to the party.
She brings a
boy.
fucking RPG to the party.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'll give the full details in the moment. But one of the, I had Jane roll in anticipation of what was going to be going on tonight in the game, and she had to roll a wisdom save,
Oh no.
and she rolled a nat 20.
Oh yay!
Hell yeah.
And in
Character growth.
in this particular case, Ariadne's wisdom save, if it had been low enough, which honestly it was a tough DC to beat. I think I had it set to, I think it would have been like 19 or 20, like having to roll a wisdom save of 19 or 20 in order to surpass what was happening.
So she literally had to get a nat 20 in order to pass.
Well, not necessarily. Her wisdom save is actually pretty good. Because, I mean, she's also a druid, so... Let me even just double check. Her wisdom save is +5. So she would have had a pretty decent chance of being able to survive this, but the nat 20 basically means that our girl, Ariadne, straight up resisted this, and in fact, there's going to be some interesting results as a result of her being so like, wait, I have a backbone for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I was even thinking, like, did Jane have her mercy moment?
Oh, God.
God.
But...
Gab, are you okay with us telling that story?
What?
The nat 20 from Mercy?
From Mercy.
Oh, I thought you said mercy moment.
I thought you
was
said
like, what the hell's
mercy,
a mercy?
too.
No,
Yeah.
Marcy.
Mercy.
Which one?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, there have been several.
The green one.
The big green one whose name we changed.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, just to make it short, in Gab's campaign, we basically had like an elite 4 who were serving under the big bad of the campaign. We managed to like befriend 2 out of the 4, and 2 of them even through like dating some of the player characters, essentially. Mm-hmm. We got to like an encounter with like one of the 2 remaining big bad elite 4s, and our friend Marcy, who was playing one of the more muscly inclined characters in our party, managed to well, basically they had advantage on rolling a persuasion to get this person on our side, and so they didn't do great on the first one, and then they rolled again, and the main thing we hear from Gab, all right, so roll your second persuasion.
Oh, yeah.
Marcy got a nat fucking 20, and that's when we realized Gabby is running out of antagonists.
I'll even say, and it was even pointed out in the moment, that she would have literally had to roll a nat 20. Like, that was literally the condition that Gab set in place for this particular persuasion.
Because in terms of D&D, air quotes, it would have been a roll that would have been too high to get, even if she had gotten a 19 on its own. And the way, I think I've mentioned this before, but the way that character was going to go is that if you tried to persuade him, he was going to pretend to be persuaded. And a natural 20 would have been the only situation in which he would have actually been persuaded, because it's a natural 20 and not like a unnatural 20-something or whatever. So the fact that it was a natural 20, I'm like, that was literally the only condition I set. I had this whole thing where he was gonna betray you later, and now I can't fucking do that.
You were waited.
And we have done this to several members of the bad guys in this campaign. For one reason or another. Let me just put on some fresh music here. Anyway. We have recruited so many... We're talking about a different D&D campaign, but that's fine. There have been so many moments where our characters in Gab's campaign have literally just recruited all of the bad guys. We seem to be on the mission to attempt continuing this particular path of recruiting all of the bad guys.
Can I make a quick note? I love how... And this is... You've said this multiple times where you're like, oh man, Gab, you're running out of bad guys. Again! For a year! For a year I've had them, and I'm like, I'm not running out of them.
Oh, well, I mean, we still have yet to really speak with them.
True.
We could still be working our way through them. We could be about to actually make a breakthrough with your big bad.
No!
We might actually convince the evil goddess of nothing, destroy it all, and raise the world until I can make it anew. Convince her, maybe don't do that.
Maybe don't.
Here's an idea. Actually, fuck that.
Yeah. But they're we found out some interesting. This has been a very meta campaign. Do you mind the discussion of some of the meta elements of this game?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, if you guys want to talk about modern right now, sure.
Hell
Sure.
yeah.
Magic of the Mundane is the name of that campaign, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme. But anyway, so even early on in this campaign, our characters ended up learning from a particularly high power NPC who has met the DM of this campaign. Again, it's very meta, and let loose to the team, to particular members who were actually gamers, which is why they picked up on this. He referred to the fantasy world in this modern setting that has an alternate portal into the fantasy world. He referred to that, supposedly his home world, as a fantasy world. The gamers picked up on this and called him out on it, and he explained that, oh yeah, no, actually this is all a game that people are playing, and you know, like that was the big reveal, and
He tried to lie first, and it didn't work.
It did not work, because he was also, one, dealing with the gamers, and two, dealing with, I think, with minus Owen, the highest intelligence scores in the team.
I mean...
Oh, goodness.
Sorry, I'm choking on the fucking irony. Anyway. So, of all of the people to do this with, he happened to accidentally let slip to the fact that he is aware of the fact that this is a game that's being played, and that the party are a party of characters being played in a game somewhere. That kind of had some rippling effects over the actions that our characters took. I know that Ophelia ended up becoming a little bit too big for her britches and was like, well, if it's all a game, then that means that we're going to be fine. Spoilers, it was not fine. Her mother is a serial killer that attacked her younger brother when you know, a couple of years ago. Brother's still alive, but still. Ophelia's not okay. But anyway, so for a long time they were trying to figure out, like, the mystery around this evil goddess who's not supposed to actually be the goddess, etc. You know, pretty your standard, I can't say standard, I'm being facetious, but there are elements that are very common to a lot of different campaigns out there. Ones that are, you know, there's a big bad, usually some kind of deity. If not the deity, then some sort of, like, you know, lich or wizard of some kind. They were trying to parse things, and we've been having it revealed in bits and pieces that more meta elements were present than we thought. And this last session that we played, we ended up learning that the reason why the current evil goddess by the name of Dehia became what she is, because the Dehia of a previous timeline that this campaign took place in, and that's a complicated thing, but if you've been to my streams over on the Loreley channel, you've heard some of this before. But there was a previous timeline that this NPC that knew about all of this actually came from, which is how he knew about a lot of this, and ended up bringing what insight he had into the present timeline. That same Dehia from his timeline made it onto this one somehow. And we're still kind of reeling from the implications, because we literally only just had this reveal happen. But this Dehia ended up having a hand in crafting the Dehia that we've been facing in the campaign so far. But then the person that became Dehia went, actually, fuck this, and ate old Dehia's heart. And
that's the best way to fucking put it.
and became Dehia, taking
Eat your heart out,
literally
bitch.
taking literally the power of the previous timeline's Dehia to become a goddess in her own right. And so that's horrifying enough. But this was all part of a ritual anyway, and we're still going to be learning about what this all means. Immediately following that, however, see, there's a character on our team that actually managed to read through the Book of Exalted Deeds, and as a result of that, gained access to a particular entity.
Skills. I'm just kidding.
Literally, he befriended the DM.
Hi.
Or specifically, the creator of the campaign, of the worlds that this is taking place in, similar to my Leyus, and in fact Leyus was inspired by the creation of this DM Sona, Gabrus. Gabrus
Hi.
directly loaned her power to this character, Ken, giving him a halo that he could summon and some certain abilities, as well as abilities to the rest of the team that they gained as a benefit because of Ken's dedication to reading and finishing this book. So he became aware of, and in fact became the champion thereof, or at least presumably, of Gabrus within the campaign. Basically, a landline to the people who were playing the game. Although he only ever really saw Gabrus, the others made appearances here and there. Anyway, we also have used our DM Sonas as the gods that are running this campaign. That is effectively the canon that we've established for this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, with all of this being what it is, we didn't think that it was going to be possible for there to be two Dehias, so there was going to be like, hey Gabrus, what the fuck? Why is the last Dehia in this timeline at all? What happened? We went to go, Ken went, along with the NPC that has his own reasons to be kind of like, wait, what the fuck? About finding out about all of this timeline shenaniganery.
Mm-hmm.
Only to find that Gabrus wasn't there anymore. Gabrus has disappeared. And as
Your
it
DM
turns
has left the building.
And as it turns out, yeah, Gabrus is the remnant energy of the Dehia energy, of the Dehia entity in the first timeline. Literally, Gabrus is Dehia.
I can even, like, I can explain it a different way. Basically, you got it. Essentially, Gabrus created that world and was like, hey, the world needs a villain. It's a meta commentary on the fact that, like, the DM is playing the villains, but I took that and ran with it because the implication is that, yeah, Dehia was always Gabrus, and she decided, hey, maybe this time I don't want to be the villain, and that didn't go well for her.
And
But
unfortunately,
definitely not.
the person that she tried to nudge into the role of ultimate villain unfortunately got, well, to the heart of Gabrus's power.
Uh-huh.
She was unfortunately very good at it.
And so Gabrus is now gone because Dehia was, or Muriel, the original person who became Dehia, recognized the energy that Ken had as being related to the rest of the original Dehia, and has been pretty well convinced that we're all hiding something from her. We are, but still.
We are, but don't tell her that.
Yeah. And was basically going to summon her old friends to... We don't know what the intent was, interestingly enough, but presumably when you summon a Draco Lich, possibly a Banshee, a possible Druid of Spores, and a fucking Deathlock, you're not there to have a party. At least not one that the other people attending this party are going to have fun with.
Or at least as long as someone's having fun at the party.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
So in learning that, this is the part that I actually only noticed, like, afterwards, but I pointed it out. We had it set up that there was actually an NPC with the party that had a scroll for, what was it, plane shift or something like that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we had him basically casting that. But Dehia / Muriel recognized what was happening, and suddenly we were teleported to a completely different map. We were completely disoriented, almost as if we had been moved back in time, but we were still carrying objects that we'd obtained since getting past that area. So this wasn't just a simple time rewind or anything, and I pointed it out.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't just move us. She changed the maps on us. That's what and if that is not a dead fucking giveaway that, oh no, she has DM powers. Some of them anyway.
Oops, all meta commentary.
Whoopsie! So that's where we are on that reveal. And I'm excited to see where that all goes. But yes.
Lumber's a hell of a drug, I'll tell you what, kids.
Oh, yes.
But we are very excited for what comes next with that. And I'm hoping those of you who have been watching this either live or if you're watching this and catching up on this series after the fact, I love you guys too. You guys are also special, and I hope that if you're watching this afterwards, you do leave a comment. I want to know what you guys are thinking, which is another reason why I love when you guys actually show up to chat and actually chat with us. I love seeing you guys here and talking. Wow, there's a metagame lore? Yes, there is. There is a metagame lore. Her name is Leyus. But I do hope that you guys being here live and talking and all of that, that's why I want to stream this series. I want to see people reacting to shit like story drops and the way that these characters talk with each other, or the kind of chemistry that they have, or things like, well, Koshi drawing a sword on Lyronus every time he tries to hug them.
Oh, yes. And again, I want to see more things like fan art. I would love to see, animatics of, moments from the campaign, because there's so many good fucking moments so far, and I'm just loving where this is all going.
Now, I know it sounds like we are soliciting you in the audience to give us artwork, and I want to make it clear that as much as I appreciate and love seeing it, I'm not going to, obviously it's not going to be an obligation that you guys do it. We're not being like, hey, do this, but I'm just saying that when that does get sent in, it's all sorts of warm fuzzies. It's like, oh, but I only want you guys to be doing stuff if you genuinely enjoy the material, if you're enjoying this campaign as we're playing it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm just saying, if you make it doesn't matter. You could literally draw me a stick figure and name it, Lyronus, and I'll be like, oh my god!
If you make it, we will come.
I have cursed Photoshop if you want. It is cursed.
Here's the thing. I make cursed Photoshop stuff all the time. Lore can attest to this. Yep. That's how I got my image for Koshi.
True. Anyway, that all said, I am enjoying streaming this so far. We are now 6 episodes in, and we are closing in. Next time, I've said this for a while, we've been kind of closing in closer and closer to what's going to be effectively the finale of the prologue. And eventually they're going to be able to leave this town, but there's a couple of major things that still have to happen, but they're probably going to actually be this next session, which I'm really excited for. So, if you're watching live, 2 weeks from now, starting at the usual time, which is 4:30 p.m. Central, 2:30 Pacific, which is where I am now, we'll be getting started. Hopefully we will be joined by RedAsATomato. Hopefully her adventuring will have died down somewhat. Because we miss having her with us. We miss you, Jane!
Some say you can still hear her cod fishing to this day.
Jane, fight me.
Jane of Assistance. Thanks for telling everyone I'm dead!
Meet me in the pit.
Stop telling everyone I'm dead.
No, but that's just it. The opposite of that is literally the thanks for telling everyone that I'm dead!
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, I can rest.
And we'll be dealing with whatever the fuck is going on with this motherfucker. I mean, we've got an idea of what's going on with him, but I mean...
Better watch out for those crazies.
We were just talking about watching out for the crazies.
Zoom. Anyway, mentally going over our notes. I've mentioned this before, and it's one of those, YouTube, I mention this all the time, YouTube also likes it when we propose certain algorithmic improvements. Things like asking for comments, asking for likes and subscribes and all of that stuff. I have my own little, like, me as a person, I don't want to be, like, putting the pressure on. I hate the fake kind of, like, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to pound that alarm bell button, whatever. The bell notification is what it's called. And be sure
I just straight up refuse to do it.
Yeah, but I do want to at least nod to it because these are the sorts of things that YouTube values. And, I mean, I enjoy reading comments. Like I said, it's like people are engaged enough and they care enough about this stuff. Even if it's just, like, 5 people that get a kick out of it and 4 of it are the people playing it. It's still something that makes it worth it. Outside of the fun of putting together a story that people enjoy, hopefully, anyway.
Yeah.
Things like promoting things, like you can always check out the Twitter. There's usually an update here on Sirenia Studios on the Twitter, usually linked in the description for the videos and on the main channel page. Twitter will update whenever a video is going live, whenever streams are being announced, any kind of updates that people need to keep track of. You can always follow it there. You can DM things like fan art and stuff like that to that. Sir Pounce is digging up the fucking box. You have no need to dig the box. It's an open box. There's nothing underneath it. One of the empty big ones. Anyway.
Which one?
I know. Where was my train of thought just now?
Basically, like, letting people know this is how YouTube works. You can catch up on us, you know, doing shit on Twitter.
Yeah.
All that good sign-off stuff.
That kind of thing. It's a great way to keep up with what's going on. I'm hoping to be more active on that, especially as I get some of the things that I am working on out onto the dance floor. I've actually even got I've got a song cover. It's not a big song cover, but it's one that I'm actually still pretty happy with, and I'm excited to bring to people. But yes, this particular campaign, as I said, if you do become a patron, one, it helps to support me in making this content. It also just, you know, it makes a big difference on my end in terms of being able to afford daily life stuff. So just me personally saying that kind of makes a huge difference. Plus, you get early access to videos. You get, in some cases, you know, like a 5 and up, you get behind the scenes stuff. You're going to get access, for example, to this image, like the full HD version of this through Patreon. Although I think that's going to be a $5 and up tier thing. But anyway, even just $1 a month means that you get the early access and you get to vote on things, especially things like whenever I put anything up to vote. But including, there is a special thing related to the lore of Leyus where if I put up a poll and you're a patron, you actually get to vote on things like, you know, in X situation, do you want the characters to find a healing potion? Or do you want them to find a rabid raccoon? Or do you want them to find a leaf that actually means nothing? And I will put these options up and people can vote on them, and it will have an impact on the course of the story. I have included some of those votes already. There is some... I know that there was a vote for, like, either additional potions or I think there was something else you guys got. You guys also got a crafty thing, which turned out to be the snake branch thing.
My new best friend.
Yeah.
Doot, 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 doot. Anyway.
My stick and me.
Anyway. But all of that stuff, I mean, there's that. If you want to do, instead of like a committed monthly thing, you can also do a one-time donation over at the Ko-fi. Is it the... Yes, ko-fi.com/mloreley, as it is on screen. Even just, like, again, as a tip jar, you know, it helps me to get by with, you know, life. You know, by buying all of the drugs. Wait, no, I mean, well, actually, kind of literally, I've got the medication that I need to pay. Anyway. Medications. But I am it makes a big difference to me. It really does. Obviously, I promote all of this stuff because some people, like, I've had people say before that they appreciate the reminders. But at no point do I want this to feel like a pressure. It's the listing it to remind, not pressure you as if it's an obligation. I want you guys to come here, watch these videos, watch these streams, and have fun, and be entertained, and possibly, in cases of, like, symbolism and lore, be educated. Because clearly you're uneducated. No, you know what I mean.
Wow.
I know, I'm mean.
Wow.
I am a mean.
All outening.
But, I'm mean to you, apparently. Anyway, no, I do hope that you guys get stuff out of the stuff that I'm going to be posting to the channel regardless, but Will Smith pose other ways that you could potentially support me, as well as, like, you know, telling other people about the streams and all of that. Anyway, this is all an extended way of trying to close out the stream. I left it on this image, by the way, as opposed to switching over immediately to this screen showing you the party as well as the fan art as it cycles through, because I'm very proud of that face of Danforth.
It's very good.
Yes, absolutely.
It was fun. I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you guys playing had fun.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And in 2 weeks, so it's not every Sunday, but it's every other Sunday. So 2 weeks from today, which is going to be the 25th of July, 2021. These are also all dated, so, you know, if you're watching this, you can possibly do the math from there, but yes. On the 25th, we will be doing this again at 4:30 p.m. Central, 2:30 Pacific, and it will probably, in fact, be the finale to this area, and hopefully we'll have Jane with us.
Yeah.
Alright.
But thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys then.
Take care.